the cloud.
Well, you're a better man
Okay.
than me on all this.
Hmm. Well, I'm waiting for my younger daughter to get a little older so she can handle all of this.
It's going to be a few years, Mel, unless she's a prodigy.
But okay, well, thanks for joining me. This is we got Jeff Brown, Jeffrey Brown, also known as Lynn Brown, his author pen name, and quite the entrepreneur. He's got a number of businesses that he's doing. He's got eBay, he's got a locksmith business, and he writes books, sells books, just about you name it. He's probably doing it or done it.
Probably failed at most of them too.
Well, it's all a learning experience, you
Yes, it
know.
is.
Even in what we call a failure, it's there's something to be learned from it, and you know, and sometimes it's just timing, you know. Some things,
Well, we learn what
you know,
not to do and then succeed ultimately.
yeah, and then things change on us. We got something figured out, and they throw in a new algorithm or change their policies and get the rug yanked out from under us. Well, great, Jeff. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you know, I read your posts, some of your posts. I don't read all your posts on Wealthy Affiliate, but I see your activity on Wealthy Affiliate, and we chat on email and different things, and appreciate that we're able to finally get hooked up here. And
I am too.
yeah, and we can always, you know, fine tune it later. You know, always have another interview if this works out okay for you.
You bet.
Yeah, it's kind of, I got doing YouTube beginning of January, and then it's mid-March kind of took a back seat to everything, and which has definitely affected me on YouTube. Viewership has gone, you know, way down. So, but I being as I'm now I'm doing a lot more publishing books. So I think for YouTube, I'm going to actually start reading books on YouTube
Oh, wow.
and have the text right up in the window, and then just read it. And you know, that should draw in some views, and if they actually read it, that's going to give some good time wise on watching my YouTube videos. So at least I can keep some activity going, and that should be easy enough to do. So just a matter of taking the time, like anything.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, hopefully. Anyway, the important thing is too is to evaluate as we go along, and if we see something else or another, it's not like we should jump from thing to thing, but sometimes it's smart to recognize a possible opportunity and to take advantage of it. You know, if we get so focused, I got a 2-year goal, and 2 years from now I'm going to do this, and all these other things come along that it would have been better to have gotten involved with, or at least test the waters. You don't have to go full time into something. You could
Yep.
do a little part-time that.
I'm always
And
testing waters.
yeah, and we're kind of, you know, we both are involved in more than one thing going for income and stuff, and so you know, you're in the States and I just happen to be on the other side of the
In the
world. So
future.
yeah. but but yeah, so so you can tell the audience if you want a little bit about yourself if you'd like.
Not much to tell, just living the dream. um,
Yeah.
most of them will know me from Wealthy Affiliate, but trying to put out books, which is my passion. Everything else is just to make a few bucks to fuel my passion. I always believe you have to have more than, you know, one thing going on in this day and age, especially because, like grandma used to say, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So try to keep it spread out. If one thing's not doing good, the others usually are. it's a rarity, but I'm sure you have experienced this too, that sometimes all of them aren't hitting on all cylinders at one time. But, if you get a little bit from each,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually enough to get us through. And then one thing usually explodes. And then, but it's always for the mindset. It's nice to know that you have more than one thing going on.
Yeah, it is really good to diversify, and well, probably just about forever, no doubt about it. Back in mid-90s till 2001, I had a successful flooring business that I slowly built it up one step at a time. And I was expanding in 2001. We were doing better than ever. And then 9/11 happened, the trade towers came down,
And
people
everybody
panicked
was,
and,
yeah,
yep,
everybody was in a mess of hurt.
Yep, stopped buying, and I lost my business. That was, I mean, it was some phenomenal growth was taking place, and we were expanding into homemade wood furniture, oak furniture,
Wow.
and because I like to sell local if I can, and anyway, it just clobbered us, and but as a part-time business for fun, I was selling new and used books and some odds and ends on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
And then December 2000, I actually published my first book. And of course, here today, that's my main source of income is publishing. And I would have never have imagined that way back
Isn't that
then.
funny how life is?
Yep. And it's come and it's gone. In the beginning, it was kind of slow because you had to pay for the setup fees and everything, and that costs money and your investment. And then with Amazon, anybody can publish anything for free, basically.
So far.
And so that opens up the door, yeah. And so that took me from 20 some books to 188 titles in print before I came over here on my retirement. That didn't last very long, but and anyway, right now I'm at 1,138 is the book I'm working on now.
I thought it was 80.
And it blows me away. The numbers just blow me away.
Oh yeah, that's phenomenal. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I'm using this ancient technology, so I see you with your mission control stuff on. So
No, it's doing good. So
I mean, I'd love to have some of that, and that's in the plan, but still new at this. You're my actual third Zoom meeting, so.
well, you've written probably far more books than I have actually written, and you probably made more. I actually got looking around in KDP Amazon last night, where you can search by the author. I searched my name, and I got a whopping $25 of income all these years from the 2 books I published.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
I haven't made much more than that. It's I've probably just approaching $300, but what I figured out, and we've discussed this before, is that you got to get the traffic because there's millions of people there. And so I'm thinking, man, people are just going to start snapping this stuff up. Well, they have to find you first.
Right. Yeah, there's like over 100,000 new books every year on Amazon. I'm maybe even more.
Oh, probably more.
So yeah, they don't know you, they don't know me, they don't know our books, they've never heard of us, so they can't search for what they don't know. And yeah, marketing is a real beast. And but as you get doing all the things, you've really got something that can become marketable or is marketable, because you got that 15 volume set, and you've got other additions to it, and you're expanding, and a lot going on there. But my books are pretty I'll say they're insignificant. I mean, nothing is insignificant, but they were never meant to be anything special, just something to share, something to, you know, get it said. And yeah, so.
But you do have some direct customers that are interested in those, which is good too. I remember we discussed that. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
people that you've targeted them. So, I mean, you know.
yeah. And if I get writing the books I really want to write, yeah, then there's definitely an audience out there. And again, it's marketing, get the word out there, and do
Well, I
some
remember you
advertising.
discussed that one time with me about, you know, you've got some books in you that are yours, you know, that you're
Mhm.
going to really, you know, double down
Mhm.
on. And I think you can. In
Yeah,
fact, I know you can.
yeah,
It's a matter of time, right?
yeah. So, so at least I think I got myself on a good work pace now.
Well, you look
Not
good.
working.
You look good.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
Was
you
good.
look like you've got it going on. So,
Well, one reason I cut, actually I shaved my hair down to this, not bald, but just barely above the scalp, is I really needed to get sunshine on my scalp.
well, see, check this out. See, look, I'm the same way. I'm already bald. So I always give myself a military cut when it gets too bushy.
Mhm.
And then I can always this. And of course, this is what caused your baldness is cap in the military and everything else. But, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not self-conscious or anything, you know, I am what I am. So,
You know, the first part of the first day that, you know, once I got it all cut off, and then at first I was thinking like no big deal, but then as soon as I stepped out the door and got walking, then I became self-conscious. So, oh, people are going to see me, and
well, no,
what are
I
they
do
going to
this all the
say?
time. I do this all the time when I buzz cut it. I'm like, you remember from basic training.
Yeah. So, so I actually, yeah, I got joking about it. People would see me, and I could tell by the look on their face and at first they didn't recognize me, and so I joke about it. So now I'm the one breaking the ice, and not somebody saying something and then I'm taking it the wrong way. And that really that helped, and it helped loosen me up. And by the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's no big deal. It's a story I had going in my head, you know.
Well, it
So
always works. I'm a people person. So if there's an elephant in the room, I'm the one that addresses it first too, you know.
yeah. So this is what happens when you don't have questions written down. You're like,
No, I like the spontaneity though. So, you know,
yeah.
we have no trouble talking. So, I mean, you know, we'll move this thing along. Uh, so when were you going to be working? Do you know when were you going to be working on that book you were talking about of yours? I mean, the one that you didn't. I mean, don't get me wrong. What you've done was a lot of work on those other books to get them where
Mhm.
they need to be.
Mhm.
But on your brainchild, that's all new.
Mhm.
How does that look for you? I mean, I know it's on your drawing board somewhere.
Well, I'm actually going to write it down right now that I should. Thanks for the elbow or the nudge.
Well, I know you can do it is the thing. I mean, you'll have it out probably in a couple of weeks. Your work ethic and all.
I'm going to. I just wrote down. I'm going to take 2 hours a day and work on it. Whether I do it audibly and record my voice so I can have it transcribed later, or maybe I get typing it out, or especially like they say, do the outline and get kind of whatever, and then you can keep building. So that's what my, give or take 2 hours a day, you know, at least 5 days a week. Yeah, it's kind of hectic here when you have a 15-month-old
Oh yeah.
daughter, and now that my wife is got her own business, it's become extremely hectic. So it's like, you know, she's kind of got like a little store out not too far from here, but she don't have to be there all the time.
Well,
So it's like, what are you doing now? Are you doing now? Are you going to take a nap now? Are you?
well, Mel, you know, check this out. I mean, you know, even just the blog post you've written in Wealthy Affiliate, if you know, you might not think that they're significant in number, but if you counted up those words, I mean, if you even did just a small portion of your book daily on that, which
Mhm,
takes probably no time, uh,
mhm,
within 6 months, depending on how long you want your book to be, it'll be done. And
mhm.
then you
Yeah.
mentioned something about the Audible. I know that Kindle Direct has that, but would we? I was wondered how that's going to be. Are we the ones reading our book, or how does that work?
I think you could do it yourself, or you hire someone to do it.
It's just not going to be
Um,
the robot voice, right?
you wouldn't have to, no, no. And and I'm thinking, just they say, we can speak a whole lot faster than we can type or write.
Oh, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay, well then if I get talking about whatever it is I want to talk about, then I'm not slowing myself down, interrupting myself. We can just get it out there. Of course, then you got to come back and transcribe the thing, which at least then you can always pause, type. So that's what I was thinking about, doing something right where I can record it. It might be faster to keep my thoughts flowing, and it'd be more conversational, because yeah, you get talking to people and things just keep coming out. So
Well, I was wondering about that too. Like when you're recording one, like for instance, I wanted to get some of that software where I can talk to text or use maybe Windows 10 or whatever. But I'm wondering what the editing nightmare will look like
hmm.
just on that portion. But that, I know that's not going to be the Audible part. I'd be interested in doing the Audible stuff. Maybe I can get Morgan Freeman to read mine or something.
Yeah,
That would be classic, wouldn't it?
yes,
I'll pay you from the proceeds, Morgan. So do a good job.
yeah, he's got a great voice. Yeah.
Yes, he does. That's why he does so many of those things, you know. But we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. I mean, you know, I'm excited about a lot of things. There's a lot of things going on in my life that aren't so exciting right now, but you know, it is life. I mean, if it went our way all the time, it would be incredibly boring.
That's
We
for
might
sure.
we might like it for a minute, but then we're like, okay, what's next?
Right, right. Yeah, it's my little health scare yesterday, really kind of like kicked me in the butt and woke me up. And it's like, yeah, we got more days behind me than I got ahead of me, and I need to start maximizing what I'm doing. What is the most important thing to me, and get doing that. And so yeah,
You
and the
need your
publishing is
legacy, Mel. You need your legacy.
yeah,
That's going to be your book.
and the publishing is going better than I thought, actually, because I do have one book that I'm going to have to do a lot of editing on.
Hmm.
But then I decided to go back to my emails that go back to 2009, that reminded me, oh, this would be a good book to do. This would be a good book to do. And then I got searching, is that online, and some of these things weren't available online to be able to grab and use. And I've been finding one after the other, and all of them are like, they're not they're not that common, or they're not even on Amazon. So I can go up to my full retail price to sell them, and should be able to do pretty good on them. So I'm really excited about that. And they've been short books, which is nice. 120 page book doesn't take very long to edit, format, and boom, there. I can do that in about a day.
See, and those are your bread and butter right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, and so the faster you can do them, and they're still quality, but they're easy, and you
yeah,
can get a good price for them. That's what you
yeah.
want. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I
Mhm.
was, I was talking about manuscripts and stuff. Though I was cleaning out, and I found the manuscript for my original book that the whole series is based on. Uh, I'll put it this way: I was in the military writing it on guard duty when you had nothing else to do, longhand, and I typed it on a typewriter. 700 pages. Um, 1992 was way off in the future. And I based the series that I have out now, right now, being the ancestors of these people that were in this book. I just couldn't find the manuscript again. Well, I have. I might jump ahead like George Lucas does with Star Wars and modernize that one and put it out and go, Now, if you want to see the origins of where this came from, go back and read this. And then I need to construct the 15 book series covers the years 1865 to 1889. So I have to construct the middle portion to get it to the future. Does that make sense? But when you're writing fiction, you're essentially God anyway, so you can pretty much do what you want. That's what I like about fiction. When you're using, you're revamping things that are truth and that have to be done a certain way. So you have a little bit of liberty, but not nearly as much as fiction. I mean, you are the deity in fiction. You know, and I don't know, it's a power complex, I guess, but you can fix any mistake that you find that you've made by just putting a few blurbs in there, and all's good. I don't know if you've ever, dabbled in that.
Not too much.
I mean, you've had to fix old English to new English, which in and of itself is a chore. And then you've had to modernize some things and kind of make it your own because it is out of copyright.
Right.
And so that was actually brilliant what you did. There's nobody that would usually try to do that. And so you had your own little niche there where I don't know of anybody else that's done that, but you're a success in and of that,
Well, I'll tell you, you get some books that have great value, but you're talking about, their examples are like the horseless carriage, and now we got cars and planes and things that are a bit more modernized. So there's a whole lot of editing that can be done there to bring it up to, and then it makes it more relevant for people that are looking for something now, and they can relate to now instead of, all these antique terms or archaic terms. And
well, like what's a horseless carriage?
Or
in the event of the children now, what's a phone? Because they have no idea. Well, it's not a computer that does everything for you, that's for sure. It's something you speak into and talk. So I know what you're saying. That's a job in and of itself. And you could even do two versions. You can do the ultra modern one. You can do the one for middle-aged people like us. And, so we understand it too. So many avenues you can go on that, but 1,138 books, that's a lot of books.
Well, yeah. And one avenue I did that makes up a portion of those is, in the beginning, I just did a regular kind of book, regular font. And, but you can also do large print. And, and you get searching for those, and those aren't available. And yet you have the baby boomers, me, who, our reading can become more difficult. The larger characters really helps. So I went back and I did as many as I can. I've also done a large print edition, and you see those sales coming in. Oh, okay, great. We're and less competition again, because what I'm kind of doing is you get a lot of, I don't know, people kind of just lazy of doing it the easy way, find something online, copy paste it, and publish it. But no, large print, a little more work. Well, they don't like doing a little more work, and like I said, and then modernizing it, or there's some books online where it needs a lot of editing. They don't want to do that. Well, that's a perfect opportunity for me to take the time to do that, because it will pay for itself. Because you'll especially, I do a lot of Catholic books. So I know that market. I know this is going to be a good book, and because I know it well enough, I've sold the used, the old ones and new ones, and I really understand that market at least very well. In fact, I just did the book I just submitted tonight was A Child's Life of Saint Joan of Arc. Well, everybody knows Saint Joan of Arc. And this book was written in 1920. And believe it or not, there is not the Kindle version is available. I don't know who put that up, but there are no books available. It is not in print. So I have no competition there. It was I don't know, 108, it was 100 and some pages.
I think that you've discovered a niche in all that, really.
Yeah, so that was simple to do, and I'll be able to get full retail from it. And then now that I'm also doing more to build up my Catholic bookstore e-commerce site, the more I get it there, then I'm going to be, I'm going to attract more and more people to my website. And I've got free shipping on there. But then I'm selling at retail. Now I'm making more money than selling through Amazon, because Amazon's taking their what are they taking? 40% cut or whatever off of
Yeah, I think it's
retail.
40. I think it's 40% on print, and you can choose 35 to 70 on ebooks.
Yeah, so
I know it's not like their affiliate marketing, which they're taking 99% pretty much of
right,
everything.
right,
So it's a better
right.
deal still.
Yeah. Yeah, there have been times in the past where I just had a direct link to Amazon, and I wasn't worried about, I didn't even want to mess with having to process the orders. Go there, I'll get some money from it, and whatever works. But now I'm trying to gear up to get the bookstore going. It picks up some some random sales time and again, and yeah, I mean it's money on the table that I'm leaving on the table by not. But again, it all comes down to time. It's just.
Oh, I love when that happens, when you get little bit here, little bit there, because that little bit all adds up.
It all adds up, and then it can point the direction, like, go this way a little bit more, because you're doing very well here. You've got some money coming flowing. Let's keep that going, and come back over here. And
much like the Google Analytics for people that watch it all the time, I haven't ever gotten into that yet, but I do watch Kindle Direct to see what sold, what didn't, and all that. But a watch pot never boils, so I try to avoid it for a while, and then I'm surprised, like, oh,
yeah,
because you can discourage yourself if you see no movement, but if you just let it go, like it's supposed to, you'll be really surprised.
That brings up a good point, because a couple of weeks ago, because I've been kind of chillaxing a bit since March on things, and then my wife got playing this worm zone on Facebook, and she kept showing it to me, and, oh, you got to do this. I'm like, I got work.
Yeah.
And finally, I'm chillaxing. I'm like, well, I'll give it a try, see what she's doing, and got playing it, been playing it. So now, like, I finish a book. Okay, I'll go play for maybe an hour or two, relax, calm down, and
decompress.
Then start another book. And but Worm Zone, you get that faster gratification of doing something, and so you get that dopamine hit. You get that little reward, because you did this, or you leveled up. Every day, which is midnight for me here, they have tasks, and you complete the task, and then you get so many gold coins, which help you, buy all this bonus stuff that you need to keep leveling up.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, that's a challenge. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did it. All right.
Yep.
Whereas business isn't quite so fast. We're slaving sometimes, on them websites for some of the people, they're telling them, it's like 12 months, 18 months before you start getting the traffic and start potentially seeing the income coming in. It's a long time to wait for that dopamine hit. And it is easy to get distracted by something else. And I've certainly been affected by that, but I know too,
I have to.
Yeah, you can also get something going, with Wealthy Affiliate. I picked up some premium members early on to where it's paid for. I wasn't even having to pay for the service that they were paying for. So that's always nice. But
I just love it for the hosting mainly, and the community and stuff. So, everything else is gravy.
Yeah, I kind of started out, well, it still would be like, if I were to move it somewhere else, well, then it's going to cost me more to host, because I'm always going to have at least my website stores, if they're doing well enough.
Mhm.
And that was one reason why I came to Wealthy Affiliate. I had 4 websites on Weebly.com. It was costing me $74 a month. And go to Wealthy Affiliate, it's now $49 a month. Wow, I'm saving.
And you're getting everything else. And you're getting
All I did was
everything else.
move and have to learn WordPress, which wasn't that hard. So, yeah, and then pick up some premium referrals, and oh, dang, it's paid for.
Yeah, it's a deal. I mean, for sure. Yeah. I plan on using it for several avenues of my businesses in the future, but I also got to keep the physical businesses going in the physical realm too, because can't just be on the computer all the time to say, well, they kind of suck because I can't go to work because I'm on the computer. So,
Did you ever put up a website for your locksmithing?
It's there, but it's nothing I would want to look at.
Oh, okay.
I did sell the domain because, well, I didn't sell it. I let it expire. I tried to sell it on Flippa, if you recall, but it has the dashes in there, and I had already bought it before I read further that we don't recommend the dashes. And apparently J&J is a very high dollar and high traffic, thing. So they're not available because, you try to get it and yeah, they'll sell it to you for 25,000 or something, everything else is $13. And so I'm like, well, common isn't always good.
Right.
So, I mean, I just think I've got it under Blog Dog Door Locks right now or something, fun. I just migrated the site over. I need to get it on the Google Marketplace or something for local advertising because my local advertising where I'm at is really crappy. I'm going to get rid of them because I get more referral work from realtors and customers and everything else. And so it's really just a waste of the money all the way around. Plus I'm in my 30th year in November. So realistically, it still pays a good chunk of the bills, but not all of them. And I'll always have time to go. Like I had 3 jobs this week and I think I worked a total of I was at the 15th Street Shop House, so I had to go 1 block to unlock a house to the left, and I had to go 3 blocks to unlock a car. So there was $110 for, I could have walked over there, but and so it's not like that always, but it's like, yeah, I really didn't work, but I got a lot of physical work done and I still made $185 over the week. So, I can't complain. I can't make a living on that, but unfortunately I have investments that I can still rob until, the country decides to take them away or whatever. But other than that, it's a day at a time thing for me. I don't think, I always see the planning stuff and everything. I don't plan too far to the future. I plan to wake up tomorrow morning. That's my plan. That's my initial goal. Everything else, I mean, I hope that makes sense. I mean, I'm not irresponsible. It's just I'm realistic.
No, it makes.
I've got health issues too, so it's kind of like.
See if I can adjust my light a little bit.
Is mine not good enough? Am I showing up with too much shadow?
It's okay. I mean, maybe could have had a little, but it's fine. I can see your face. And
hold on. I'm versatile here. Whoa! How am I now?
Well, what you don't want to do with that light is take off your hat. You're really blind us for sure then.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Look at my sunglasses. Oh,
okay, look, is that?
That's good.
I still look like I'm being interrogated by the CIA or something. Hold on. Is that better right there?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
If it doesn't shift, then we'll be okay.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's your locksmith story and history is always kind of interesting. How you got involved with that and got the training. And
I was lucky. I pulled a few flim flams too, but I was lucky. And I was in the right place, right times. All I can say, I always knew I wanted a business, and it was going to be J&J something because I was married to my second wife who passed away in 2001, named Joanna, and so we were doing something. It was going to be J&J something. We didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to sell some cars and stuff and everything. So I went over to a locksmith and says, need keys for these cars. I can't find them. I found them about 10 years later, you know, in the yard, and they were all crusted up and everything else. But, you know, I could never find them. And then he just says, want to be a locksmith? And so, you know, took off from there. So.
Great. Great.
And for me in a small town, I don't have to have all the big knowledge you'd need in the big cities for how they change.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but people around here wouldn't pay for that either. So, you know, it costs a lot to do that. So
right.
I've been incredibly lucky.
That's good. Yeah, it's something how life, takes us and stuff like that. And especially with my book business, that was just kind of like, that was just extra money. That was my extra money. That was my money I could spend for me, you know, whereas all the other work goes to the family. You know, come home at night. No, I could sit down and watch TV all night. No, I don't like that. I want to get on the computer and do something and you know, make a few extra bucks. And I always like going to auctions and something else.
Oh yeah.
Also, you know, I'd be surprised at the bargains you can find there. And
no, I'm not surprised. I have 3
so,
properties full of the crap from the auction.
So
I've got so many books I could sell that are ridiculous. I mean, I like holding a book, you know, it's just the ownership of holding one, being able to thumb through the pages. It's different from the tablets and all that.
Right.
Nothing like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, books, they always were saying like books are going to go away. No, books are here to stay, you know, and more people, you know, they still keep buying books. I got plenty of ebooks, you know, partly because of shipping is extremely high over here. So it'd be very expensive to have anything sent here. So yeah, so I'll do the Kindle ebook, buy it and read it, and you know that. But someday when
I do like how you're doing it with your print on demand things and everything, though, for the different locales, which alleviates that shipping per se.
Yeah, there's actually
a good chunk of it anyway.
There's actually a place in Manila. I've never been there, but Lightning Source, who I have some of my books done with, they have where you can go in and they've got a machine right there, and if your book is in their database, it can print you out a book like right now, right while you're there, standing there waiting, and there you got it. And you got it in your hand. You can walk out with it. So
I still have to investigate that. Yeah,
I'd like to get up there, or if she knows somebody up there, and get some of my own books, and then I can start building my library of my however many thousand books I have at the time. But you know, I'd obviously focus on ones that are really, really good and ones that I've done myself. My youngest daughter has one book in print, and she did that when she was 12 years old.
She's only like 15 months old. How does she have a book in print?
Well, I've got 3 adult daughters.
Okay, you're saying your youngest daughter, though. I hear her in the background. That's good, Mel. You've got a thing right there if that's the case.
Yeah.
Give it to her to edit, you know. It's like,
yeah, my daughter Alexandra, when she was 12 years old, I suggested this to her, and it's a thought, it's a thought each day from Thomas à Kempis. Thomas à Kempis is fairly well known. He wrote The Imitation of Christ. You might be familiar with that.
I've heard that.
That's the second best-selling book of all time next to the Bible. So,
wow.
and Catholics read it, non-Catholics read it. So it's really good. And Thomas à Kempis actually had written 29 books in his life, and all of them went out of print except for The Imitation of Christ, which continues to get put forth. And so I ended up, I've republished many of his other books. There again, no competition. And so I told her, well, he's written so many books, find some, inspiring quotes. All we need is 365. and we can put together a book and one quote per day. Boom.
That's like
And
one of them
so,
little calendar books, right? Where you could also like put memo.
daily
You've seen those,
meditation, or however you want to
but you've
call
seen
that.
those where they have an inspirational quote each day, but it's while you're writing your notes on what you're gonna do. They're probably out of style now because you actually have to write as opposed to just punching a button. But
Yeah. So she, less than a week, she went and, found the quotes, and then it's, either cut and pasting or typing it up, and she could type like 95 words a minute. So
isn't that what you call like an evergreen book, because it'll be good for any year, because it's so there's your money maker no matter what.
It's timeless. And that's the thing about the Catholic books. They're essentially timeless, especially the old ones. I mean, you can there's some new stuff that's garbage, but the old, and it's been written by who they call a Catholic saint. Well, it's really timeless. And of course, everybody's got their favorite saint. So, that's it. I told you I did the one on St. Joan of Arc, and then there's one on St. Francis of Rome, St. Francis Xavier, who are very well known, and St. Philip. So different ones I've been working on here this week, and but they're timeless, and so it's great. Whereas some other books, fiction books from the 1800s, unless they were really, really good, they're just not going to be written. Nobody's going to be interested. And
God, some of that writing then was just excellent, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's outdated.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're a historical buff like me, well, you'd get off on the history of it, though. You can
history, or like your Hollywood movies, they're getting all that stuff that's in the public domain, and they're redoing it now because they don't have to pay somebody copyright royalties, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
H.G. Wells is a good example.
And ironically, I sold a lot of stuff on eBay to prop departments that would send they didn't care how you're going to ship it. They're sending you a FedEx tag, and somebody will be there to pick it up that day. I sold like 4 or 5 military hats to a prop department in LA, and whatever I had, they bought it all. Because they're doing a period piece, and I happen to have it. They needed period newspapers for the waiting room, just oddball stuff that you'll look in the background to make it look authentic. And then, of course, it won't just be used in that movie. It'll be cataloged in their prop department. So when they do another movie, they have it again, and so I didn't mean to interrupt, but you were going down that track, and I said, when you're saying that they're repurposing those movies, you bet. And where do you think they get all those cars from and everything that are in those movies? Collectors and everything else. And a lot of those are sometimes on loan. They're loaned for the movie.
Right. That's great.
I love watching those movies because you feel like you're really there, because everything is just, there's always some faux pas where there was a cell phone pictured in one scene or something that wasn't supposed to be there, but it makes you feel like you were there. So I like those kind of movies. I really do.
Yeah. I was talking about like old newspapers. If you got an old house, and tearing up the carpeting, especially if they had a real old vinyl, and maybe they just put carpet over the top of it, they just left the old vinyl there, where it was just kind of a loose laid. And then, I come in, now I got new carpet, they want everything ripped up. A lot of times underneath that vinyl, they laid newspaper to try to insulate the floor a little bit.
Wow.
So sometimes you come up with these newspapers from 1915, or something like, holy. And then you read it and you're like, I never heard that history, and here it is. This is what was happening right then and there.
Yes.
And nothing.
It's like a time capsule
about that. Yeah, it's like, wow. Yeah, I always enjoyed that. And then then the ads. Then the ads in the old newspapers could be worth more than the newspaper.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You got
easily.
Coca-Cola ad or something like that in there. Oh, they're getting collectors. They'll buy anything.
I told you about the newspapers that I bought at that one auction from the lady that passed away. Was the owner and editor of Junction City's other paper, the Republic. And so she had collections of papers from all over the world. So I'm at an auction.
Wow.
This is all in the back room on the side because they're selling what they thought was valuable. Well, you had those
Mhm.
4x8 tables stacked about 3 feet high with unfolded newspapers on probably 20 tables. And so
Wow.
somebody said, "Who'll give $5 for it?" I said, "I would," and nobody bid, and I
I'll
got
give
them
you
all.
10.
And I got them all. And
Wow.
over the last 10 or 15 years, I've made 25, 30,000 off of them. Because what they didn't realize is they're not all the same newspaper. They're from newspapers all over the world of major historic events.
Hmm.
Assassination of Kennedy. Uh,
Yeah.
in the United States, Elvis died. Whatever major headline, Titanic sinks, all this kind of stuff. I saved a few for my own collection too. The
Hmm.
oldest one was 1865 Philadelphia newspaper about Robert E. Lee's surrender during the Civil War.
Mm.
um, and then it had other action that was going on that day. No pictures, of course. It was just all jammed together and
Right.
everything else. I've got that in a frame in my bedroom because, it's kind of weak at the seams and everything. So I put it under glass real quick.
Mm.
I mean,
Wow.
so I'm fascinated by the old newspapers. And if you go through the back and you read just day-to-day articles, so and so died or something in a car accident, and you're thinking, this happened like 75 years ago, and I'm reading about this, and how many people didn't even bother to read that, and it's just really
Right.
interesting.
Yeah. Auctions are.
They're very deadly to the pocketbook, though, if you can't stay away, you know, I, and you got to take it all, so you get a lot of bad with the good. So,
Yeah, but you get some really nice surprises,
oh man,
sometimes.
it's like treasure
And
hunting.
um, it's just, yeah, I just, and sometimes you're there and you're just like, you don't, you don't know what something is worth. You just know like there's got to be a value to it, but you don't know, so you take a chance. And I bought um, Wisconsin before it really got settled, in, as a state, and then even then some was a mining. It was all about mining, lead mining, and later zinc mining. So that, and when people used to go out west, they came to Wisconsin. That was before the gold rush. And then of course the gold rush came and then everybody headed to California. But I found they had a bucket of these picks, old rusted out picks. But I could tell those were real mining picks
From that era.
from that era. And so, and there I wasn't so much worried about making money, but I knew who would be interested in them. And I took them we had a mining museum in Platteville, Wisconsin that I had worked for 4 different times in my life.
Yeah.
And I went there and talked to the guy that runs it. And I showed him the pics and he was definitely interested. It fits with their mining museum. And he's like, here, I got some stuff to get rid of. Maybe you'll take this off our hands. And he had a whole, I don't know, a couple 100 pounds of, you used to put it on the ceilings, wainscoting, zinc wainscoting or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I just took it for the recycling end, which was like 1 block away. I took it over there and I got like $100 and some for it. So like, to me, it was like great. I made money. I made him happy. It's a win-win. We're all happy.
I always love all
Yeah.
the historical stuff though too, because in some of those old buildings here, because I think Junction City was founded 1851 or probably 18. I don't know. It was the middle 1800s. Fort Riley, it was established next to Fort Riley, but some of those old buildings on the main drag, little frontier towns, when they go
Mhm.
in to remodel them, they're pulling down suspended ceilings and they're finding all that tin tile that's on the ceiling still that was just up in dead space. And so they're trying to restore that back because it's like, oh, we didn't know all this was up here. And so when you're talking about like the picks and wainscoting and everything else, it's always amazing to see the stashes of all this stuff everywhere in the United States, just hidden away, hidden treasures. I would
Yeah,
love to. Yeah.
do some remodeling in a wall, and you're gonna find stuff in the wall.
Well, don't get me started like on prohibition too. Like they'll find a hidden room or something as they're remodeling.
Oh.
Well, the floor plan doesn't match up right, and you go in there and there's like old cash and old bottles and everything else, and somewhere along the line somebody forgot, or maybe the person that hid it died or whatever, and you're always
Right.
hearing about those stories. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exciting. And the sad
My
part is that those bills are worth more than what the dollar value says on there then, because
Right.
United States money now is not worth the paper it's printed on. So it was really not. So
our back in Wisconsin, the first house that I bought was a real small little house, 2-story house, old, very old. And I don't know if they even had a date of when it was first actually used as a house. It went back that far. I'm sure it went back into the 1800s after being in it. And so I got remodeling what was our bedroom, and from our bedroom to the kitchen was like on the other side of the one wall. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be pretty, because I wanted to insulate. Obviously, we're in Wisconsin. It's better if your house is insulated. You'll save a lot of money on heating.
mm-hmm.
And I opened up the wall, and I'm like, logs. It was a log cabin at one time in its history that had a house built, and then later they added the front porch, they added the back porch, they added the upstairs. So, but it was a log cabin to begin with. It had a little dirt basement underneath, which of course they would store their food and stuff, when they can their vegetables and stuff. Yeah, but I was like,
the root cellar, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, this I never imagined. And but and of course you're always going to find stuff, and I don't remember anything particular. I'm sure we found money's the thing. Coins always get lost in the crack, or
Mm-hmm.
along the wall, or maybe it falls through the floor. Or
did you ever get bit by the metal detecting bug?
Yes, I did. I even asked you about that, because I did it for 1 year. I did it pretty hard for 1 year. I bought one, and this would have been 1999, around 2000, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, well, yeah, one of those before I lost the business. But after I bought mine, I'm like, I had to order it from a long ways away to get the metal. I think I ordered it. I don't know, doesn't matter. But I got one, and I'm like, well, wouldn't it be great if somebody was selling it? And now that I've got a store, it just takes a little bit of space. So I started retailing metal detectors and I made more money that way than I did with what I found. But with what I found, the adventure was priceless.
Oh, yes.
Priceless. And it didn't matter. Of course, yeah, if something was very valuable, that's always cool. But it didn't matter if it was even a modern penny. It's just beep, 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 beep. Your imagination starts going wild, and the excitement before you even dig it up. That's what makes it worth doing.
Well, see, there were like several areas here where there were carnivals back in the late 1800s and all this, and so there was coins and stuff used, and some of our best metal detecting was around those areas, because you're pulling up these coins from like the late 1800s and what have you, just the common penny or whatever it was. And then military Fort Riley during World War I had Army Town on the south side, which there's just ruins of it now and everything, but you can find all kind of coins and metal badges that they wore and all this kind of stuff that dropped on the ground. And I'm thinking, boy, these people were just careless, or they didn't clean up, but there's just all kinds of stuff under there.
Yeah.
And I've watched on YouTube about World War II, for instance. They'll find weapons and stuff and everything on that. Now those videos are all put together. I mean, they're not finding them as fast as they show on the video, but they're not going to show you the 2 days it took them to locate something, But it's it blows your mind when you can actually recover history from the dirt, and that just boggles my mind.
And there's a way to recover treasure from the dirt that a metal detector normally cannot detect. So that is cool. And how you do, and how old is Junction City?
I want to say it was like, don't quote me on it, it's not my hometown, but I've lived here most of my life. I want to say 1852 or 51, something like that.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
And I mean, you know, it's got Civil War history and everything else here, and the military base has been there pretty much since 1848 or something. So
if they don't have it in any of the local museums or historical societies, yeah, on eBay, you might be able to find an old plat book, P-L-A-T,
mm-hmm.
an old plat book for your county or that
Yep.
includes Junction City. And it will show every property there, every house. It shows where the house is located. And then it will usually show you a little black spot. And that spot was the outhouse.
Oh, no.
Yes. And of course, today you can go there and you're not going to see nothing. You're going to see grass, whatever. But if you got a foundation of the house is still there, maybe something, you can, okay, right here should be the area where that outhouse is. And if you got digging there, that dirt's going to be blacker dirt than, you know, your regular dirt. One antique dealer put me onto this. You're gonna, you know what they did with bottles? Well, you know, they took it in the outhouse. They just threw it in the outhouse.
And those bottles are intact and worth money.
They're intact. They probably weren't going to break. You know, they're going in the crap, and
yeah,
and they could be worth a small fortune. And it's a small area. You don't have a big area to dig out. You know, it's like take it. Wow.
not to mention, they might have dropped coins down there by accident when they're dropping their trousers.
You don't know what you're going to find. Yeah. And then I bought a plat maps for all the counties right around where I live, because the biggest thing with metal detecting too is doing your research. The obvious areas have been kind of tapped out, although they got more modern detectors, so they can go deeper, or they can really discriminate the garbage, which that was the problem in the past. The detector would be picking up aluminum and all bottle pop caps, and she wasted a lot of time. But I bought these plat books, and they weren't described very well either. Plat, this county, this year. Bought it, scanned it, or took it to a printer and had it printed out. Now I've got what I bought it for was the map. Now I put it back on eBay, list every town that's included, every little detail, and a lot of times I triple or quadruple my money on the plat book selling it, and I just had bought it on eBay. You know, people don't know how to describe things to catch people's attention when they're searching for stuff. So I made money on the plat book.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course you can always go driving around and, what's that on the trees? Is there like some kind of building in there? And then you can, you know, find out who owns it, and can I have permission to you know, use the metal detector? Do you mind me going through the old broken down house, and then there'll be stuff in there. There'll be.
You've seen those farmhouses on the side of the road from the Depression era that are like caving in, but they just look so ornate even in their decay because they were built so much better. And you know there's treasures in those houses. Even if they're empty, there's something in there, you know.
Oh, I love that. That was, you know, it maybe couldn't, you know.
That's Americana.
Family, but if I was single, I would have probably stayed single and done that my whole life, because and there's times you could hit it big, you know. I mean, well, back in the Depression, where did people put their money? They put it in the ground, they put it in the wall.
Buried in coffee cans and all that, and then whoever buried it died and didn't tell anybody, and so it's still there, you know.
Still there waiting. Yeah, it's just, they put money in the, you know, most strange, obscure places.
I mean, you know, I have that old limestone warehouse. Used to be a mill. It used to be 5-story. It's only 2 now, with another roof on it. But it was built in 1905, and it's limestone, native limestone, and the same stuff that's on Fort Riley. And then the small building, which is the office out front, was built in 1912, the year of the Titanic. And so around that area, there's a lot of stuff, because there's historic pictures where there's women in hoop skirts, and a horse and carriage right in front of my dock, you know, where they're getting out. And, you know, there's some of the sheriff's deputies, before I fenced it in, were coming over there asking permission if they could metal detect, and they found a few things and all that, you know, because, but especially like on my salvage yard that I used to own by the river, a lot of that stuff gets silted around. And I remember there was a leg sticking out of the ground, a metal cast iron leg, and a buddy of mine dug it up, and it was a 1912 Laval cream separator for milk with the crank handle and everything and all that. It was huge, but it was buried and protected by the mud, so it wasn't real bad. It's a decoration over in the courtyard at the warehouse, but I'm intrigued by that. We could write books and talk about this for hours, because that just, all those stories that we both have, and what we have, and how we can find things. And, you know, there's allegedly, I remember I went down the rabbit hole on Fort Riley when I was in the Army, because back in the woods there was like a Union ammunition train that, you know, wagons, you know, that were in there, and then they just were left to decay and all that. So we would find pieces of them in the overgrown woods and stuff. But, you know, history, and just holding that in your hand, it might not even be worth anything, but it's like, that's history, you know. I've got lots of little trinkets in my shadow boxes and stuff that are historical. I'm just so blown away by that. To me, you know, nowadays people want that new stuff. Well, let's go get something brand new. And it's like, no, this is really cool stuff. It's Americana. That's what they decorate with, you know, Americana. Wow.
Yeah,
There's your new book idea, Mel.
well, and
a true life one.
Over here, well, besides all their laws and special permits and all this stuff, it's not safe to look for treasure here. You know, the Japanese took a lot and hoarded a lot.
I'm wondering if they left any explosives there. You're
not
always hearing about unexploded ordnance.
Unexploded ordnance and poison.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Poison in bottles and glass. If you get digging
very
around
unstable.
They had I forget how many years ago it was, but there was some Filipinos that, you know, down, and they all died. They all died. It was booby trapped, and at least they knew they were in the right place, but they're dead. But, you know.
Yeah, very unstable stuff. World War II is still the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, so that kind of like put the damper on me doing any serious you know, looking around. And of course, having a metal detector is pretty obvious. And but, you know, you can walk along the beach and things might wash up and this, that, and the other. So you never know. You know, it's just, I'm always got my eye open for that kind of stuff. You know, because it's fun. It's fun.
I do miss the auctions, but I don't have the space or the cash anymore. But I do miss the auctions. Really do. Yeah. I just can't control myself once I'm there.
Yeah,
it's addicting.
When I got married the first time, and then my wife then from the Philippines came to America, it's like, well, it looks like I got to clean up my apartment, because all I had was a path to my chair in the living room and a path to go to bed. I had stuff stacked all over the place, all the stuff, you know, buying and collecting. It's like, now I got to clean up and have a real apartment here when she gets here. Oh God.
Well, I mean, that's the eBay house for me. You know, I'm sitting in it right now. My backdrop is here covering my book stacked on this back desk. You know, it's I'm in a warren of books. I did clear out the living room where I can actually move around, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of garbage that needs to be gone to separate the treasure from the nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll be a lot better off when I can get that done. And then I can really dive back down in my eBay store, because I don't have a passion for listing it anymore right now, because they've changed so many things now, and it's getting more problematic by the day. And then they want you to lower your price to sell it to somebody. I'm like, I'm doing this to make money. I mean, I enjoy it, but I'm not, if I wanted to give it away, I'd just donate it all to a museum or something, you know. I'm actually trying to have this be an income stream. And they've really gotten, I mean, they did their, I know you know that they did their new direct pay thing where they've kind of cut PayPal out of the loop. Well, that doesn't help me because my bank charges 25 cents per item over a certain amount. And this is my business account. I liked it when it could pile up in PayPal and I could deposit how much I wanted from PayPal into my checking account. Not every single little transaction now going directly to my checking account. So there's 30 more transactions that's another $6 or $7 since I was over my 75 anyway. You know, thank you. That's so convenient for me. That isn't why they did it. They did it because it's convenient for them. Oh, and I gave them what for about it and left a message. They don't give a crap. They didn't ever respond. You know, I took a survey and stuff, and I said, well, this particular thing was great, but on the subject of your new direct pay thing, and there was a blog post written about it in Wealthy Affiliate too, because they also wanted the Social Security number. Well, yeah, that's not necessarily a good thing, but then who doesn't want the Social Security number these days? So at the same time, it's not catastrophic. It's nickel and diming me to death for my same transactions and leaving my PayPal account barren that I pay for my eBay shipping with. So it just hits a credit card or something, or I don't really know what it hits, or I don't even know if it's going to pay for it because there's no balance in PayPal.
Right.
Leave y'all's little marital spat, because you know they were once one company. Leave y'all's little marital spat alone and let's do business as usual. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sorry, I go off on those tangents.
Oh, that's okay. Take a drink of water here. Let's go back to your books. Now, that was I think it's amazing, and you could even. I'm gonna turn on my air conditioner here. Hopefully, if it makes too much noise, let me know. You can.
Can you direct that so I can get a little bit of that air too, or?
I can try.
Wouldn't that be great if technology was like that?
Someday, yes,
it probably will be. Yeah, we'll be long gone, but it'll be.
Yeah. I thought it was fascinating that, you know, the books that you've got, the story begins all the way back when you were 11 or 12 years old or something. You had this idea, you had this. Anyway, if you could elaborate on that for us.
Yeah. You know, that would have been probably when I was about 5th or 6th grade, and I went to private school, but one of the English teacher would always read us. We'd have like about a 30-minute story time or something, you know. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I saw you take your mission control stuff off.
I'm wearing the headset, and when you're in Zoom, it's actually coming out of my TV. So here I'm got this on the whole time for nothing.
I thought it looked pretty cool though. So anyway, the thing is she would read from Chronicles of Narnia, you know, C.S. Lewis, which really intrigued me because he had his own little world and everything too, you know. About that time, at that age, you had Star Wars, you had Battlestar Galactica, you had, you know, all those things coming out. I was always interested in the Bermuda Triangle. I'm a big Civil War enthusiast, and, you know, being from the South, of course, the Confederate Army was always my thing. So I kind of just developed something that took little elements of all of that, along with some other fantasy books and everything, and combined it all into one. You know, Confederate refugees and Army stragglers, you know, have to board ships because the Union, after they won, are, you know, massacring people, everything else, so they got to leave the states, and so they all get on these whatever floated, and they followed the sole surviving ironclad, you know, a fictional one that I made up to lead them to Cuba, which was going to be a Spanish colony, and then from there they would figure out, because historically a lot of Confederates went down to Brazil, and they still have Confederate Day down there and everything to this day, you know, and all this. So I figured, well, we'll send some to Cuba, and then they'll find someplace else. Well, where that comes into play is that then they head off from Cuba, or they never actually find Cuba. Instead, they get misdirected by a storm and being chased by the Union pursuers. And so they end up in another place altogether, because it's the Bermuda Triangle. So then you have talking giant bird-like creatures that lead them to this island. Other people get led there too from the United States and the world as we know it over time. Just gets a little convoluted, but that's why I'm doing my compendium of characters and stuff right now too, because it gets pretty big. But I just threw all that together, and you can almost see shades of Battlestar Galactica from that when you have one surviving warship and you've got all these ragtag ships following it. We're not in space, we're on the ocean, but you remember Cylons destroyed all their colonies, and so whatever could fly, let's go. Well, I had the whatever can float, let's go. We have one ship left, and so that's kind of how it started. And then I just developed characters from there based on my stepkids and another marriage I was in that one of them wrote books and everything, and I was married to her for several years, and so we had talked about that. And so a lot of the names are derived from them, and people in my life. So we'll see how it goes, but it's been my passion, and it only takes, like we've talked about this before, it only takes the right person to read it.
Right.
You don't have to have a lot of readers, but if the right one reads it, then it's out there, and maybe it's a screenplay or whatever. They give you the movie rights, and then it's a household name.
Right.
Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Either way, it's still my passion. And like you had told me when I told you about the books, it does feel good to hold them.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished right there, no matter what, And I also told you, like, if I don't do much with them and keep them in a box, when I die and suddenly it is massive, they'll be at Sotheby's for $10 million because they're a starting bid, because their first edition's never looked at or anything,
Right.
by J. Lynn Brown, who is the author of The New America or something, or whatever it would be, that would be some bestseller or something, I mean, I dream big, but you got to dream. Look at everybody that has succeeded. They dreamed big, and they went after it.
Yeah.
And everybody thought they were nuts too. So we can't let ourselves, why can't we do the same thing? I may not succeed, but you know what? I'll enjoy getting there whether I succeed or not. If I enjoyed it and it kept my life good, there you go. There's your victory right there.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's I can look back and see opportunities that I let slip right out of my fingers, but
so can I. Yep.
Publishing was at least something that the books, was something at least I got more into, and and here I am now. It's like, dang.
And see, think about it, Mel. We can look at all those missed opportunities, but if we'd have taken some of those, we might not be where we're at today. You wouldn't have your lovely little 15-month-old daughter now.
Right.
You wouldn't have your house on the beach like we talked about,
Yeah.
I mean, you are living the dream. I mean, it's not for everyone. Look how miserable some of these people are that have all that money. I'd rather make money that the government doesn't know a lot about, because then I'm not miserable. Well, you know what I'm saying, though? I mean, you work hard and everybody fleeces you for it. And it's said that some of the most successful rich people are killing themselves and lived a horrible life and everything else. And it's like, if I want enough money to pay my obligations, invest a little bit, and give the rest to everybody who needs it, and then I'm a rich man. Because I've discovered that the more you give somebody, the more you get. And it's not because you're doing it to get. It just happens that way.
Right. Right.
Without you even trying. Well, I just gave $500 to this person. Oh, look, here came $1,500 in the mail. What's that from? Something you totally forgot about or something, So it's really hard to put in practice when you don't have it to begin with. But, that's what makes it even more special. Okay, I'm done with my tangent that I went off on again. That's why I'm self-employed, because I don't have a boss that, would go, you're fired because you're off on some tangent.
Well,
you know what I'm talking about. I know you do. Because
I've
you
always
can
loved
go...
being self-employed. I work for other people,
I have
And
too.
it's like, generally, they don't appreciate it, or
Nope.
they're really, their hands are kind of tied to where they can only do so much. They really, can't do more for you. And so it's like, dang, why am I working so hard to make somebody else rich when I could be putting that effort in for myself of what I like doing? And even if I don't make it, or it's not going well, I'm enjoying what I'm doing because it's, it's me. It's me.
You are the boss, and you're going to be the hardest boss you ever work for yourself. That's what I will say. People say, oh, you goof off, or you only worked like hour and a half on your real job. It's like, well, I've got jobs everywhere. It's just some of them aren't paying right now. But, and the thing is if you wanted to take a day off, you could, but usually like you want to leave someplace. Like for me, I've got a service business, which is my primary one. If I go too far away, I can't work because my customers are way over here and I'm off doing whatever. So I can't leave because I won't make any money. I don't have anybody working for me. I think, I always hear people saying, well, subcontract, I don't want to be an employer. I did that when I was incorporated back in 05. And I lost so much money because what they don't tell you is that you got to pay unemployment insurance on yourself, but it's really a tax because you can't draw it.
Right.
Because I told the lady one time, I said, well, you kind of had a business downturn here and I'm going to have to lay these people off, but I need to lay myself off too. So I'd like to apply for my unemployment insurance. Oh, you can't do that.
Right.
I'm like, well, I've been paying for it, same as them. Oh no, that's basically a tax. You'd have to close your business down. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? You see what I mean? But there's all those hidden costs when you do employ other people. And so they better give you good value. But I know when I was an employee, I don't think I gave very many people good value. So I don't want a bunch of me working for me. You know, when we were young and you're kind of goofing off or whatever, or I see how the stepkids are now and stuff and gaming the system like we did, although I'll be pious about it and go, well, you shouldn't be doing that, even though that's exactly what I did. But do as I say, not as I do, But, there's a lot more complexities to that. I've seen some of these big corporations and the waste that they have. I don't even know how they survive, honestly, with the way that they're just getting pilfered left and right. Even in the military, dare we go there? that was some of the most corrupted, rife with theft and everything else in the military, and everybody's just like, everybody does it. So I'm always like a close to the vest thing. Maybe I'll never succeed that way, but I figure books I have my best chance with because I produced them, let someone else take them, and they can have a percentage. Like if you get me noticed and all this, like I'm in negotiations with somebody else about this, I told you about, you got the passion for the website and you want to do it. And what's it going to cost me? He says, well, nothing right now. Says, if it gets big, we'll talk. And I'm like, I'll be happy to talk if it gets big, because it wouldn't have got big without your site. You know it? I had no problem. That frees me up to continue producing the product.
Right.
Unless I'm getting like George Lucas, where you have 10,000 other authors that write all these neat stories that tie in really good with it. Well, that's too far off in the future. This is the here and now. And you and I aren't getting any younger. So, I'm pretty close to you in age. I would have been your little brother or something, but, not by much. I would have been the one when you were in high school, you would have thumped my ear because I was in junior high or something, But, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, we're close. And so had a lot of the same experiences. I haven't lived in a foreign country or anything except Texas, but other than that,
Yeah.
But that's me in a nutshell when you edit all my blather out for your YouTube video. Actually, if you edited all my blather out, or you could have the Jeff uncut thing, but if you edited all my blather out and all our carrying on, your video might be like about 3 minutes long or something.
or maybe a YouTube short.
Well, or a TikTok for whatever value we had, about 15 seconds or something, But that's just, I'm spontaneous. If we could start, we've talked before, so we could start out on one thing and 2.5 hours later, we don't know how we got to where we're at, but it just, you follow the path. That's why I'm not scared of videos per se. I don't get my lighting right or anything, but I'm not scared to talk to anybody. I'm not scared to let them see my ugly mug that everybody's nervous to get on video. Well, I really don't care what people think about me. So, you know, you can either like me or not. That's your prerogative. But I'll always have something to talk about. You know, and based on what my person I'm talking to, like you, will lead me on to something too. And then I'll be like, oh, well, oh, now that you say that, whole new avenue.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just called conversation techniques there. And it's not trained. It's just what, spontaneity.
Mm-hmm.
You seem like the person that can, I was watching you and Roy's interview, and you just rolled with whatever he threw back at you, and you threw back another question. I don't know if you had anything scripted for him either, because it flowed naturally, and it was just back and forth, and y'all made a lot of good points on things and everything else. No issues whatsoever. See, you're already thinking about what you're gonna say, because you know I am too. I'll shut up now.
Yeah, partly, but I really try to be a good listener. So if anything, I pick up things that you say. It's like, okay, that we can go into that. You know, you see a lot of these professional interviews and they're not listening.
No, they have their questions and that's it.
But then, okay. Yeah, and it's like, no, I'm seriously interested. I want to learn. I want to know more about a person and that, because that's what life's about. And it's me anyway. So
some of your best videos are going to be your unscripted ones, I believe. I always see the blogs where plan. Well, I plan to wake up. That's about the extent of my planning. You know, I want to see where life takes me.
mm-hmm.
I don't like spending a lot of time planning, because that's time wasted. I can be doing something else.
Yeah,
Like
unless it's something, you know, like, okay, what I got to do tomorrow? I want this.
Well, yeah, within reason, but I mean, long term, I can't go long term.
Well, we saw how my long-term plan worked in January when I said what I was going to do the entire year, and we got to mid-March and we took a right turn.
Well, see, and that's the beauty part of it, is you had a goal, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, goals are also, I believe, fluid. You can start off with a goal.
Right.
But it needs to remain fluid. If it's rigid, you might end up getting to that goal at some point and decide, I really don't like this. It was too rigid. You know, there were so many opportunities I passed by because I had it focused on that goal.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to get my book noticed and out there. It's noticed. It's out there. Now I just want to make a little bit of money from it. Doesn't have to be a lot. Mm-hmm. But, you know, but my passion is writing. So if I don't make anything else from it, it's in my hand. So that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
I know it feels good when you produce things too.
Yeah.
Because it's your stuff. It's your take on things.
Yeah, that's much better than, you know, when I started with Wealthy Affiliate, I got into the make money online niche where you're reviewing a lot of different products and programs, and then got your affiliate links in there, and yeah, you know, I was doing okay. I like to write, so, and but it's not what I want to write about. You finally like, oh, how many more of these I gotta keep doing, and this is where, if I had the money, this is what you pay somebody else to do.
Well, see, and I agree with you, because you can only spend that same review so many times before it's just repetitive, and then it's almost duplicate content.
In a lot of cases, yes. In some cases, you know, people are well, a lot of people review something they never used before, so they can't really provide much input more in. And then so I prefer something I had experience with, you know, something I really used, Like Wealthy Affiliate. Okay, I'm using Wealthy Affiliate. That's easy to do a review. And then not to just always, oh, it's 100% perfect, because none of them are 100% perfect.
Nope.
So I try to bring out what I really see, what's wrong with it, what could be improved upon. You know, instead of just giving somebody a snow job, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, you gotta do this. Nothing wrong with it, everything's perfect.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, then they get into it and they're gonna be more disenfranchised when they get in there and start running into the various problems and stuff. And so anyway, but that really just got to be, yes, you can make money doing that. I'm not going to question that, but it just showed me myself that's so not me. So it was time to kind of get past that. And I did, and I started doing a membership, and the membership site eventually could become profitable, blah blah blah. But that's a long time. That's a long time to maybe have to wait. And I just don't have that patience of how many years am I going to have to put into that. And
but at least you looked into it.
Yeah, you get a glimpse of it from Wealthy Affiliate. We've got who knows how many active people still belong to Wealthy Affiliate, but you really have a small amount of people that are actually active in the community, blogging on Wealthy Affiliate, very small. And it's good. It's a nice community. There's some great people, and I love it. And that's one reason why when I got to be ambassador, I'd at least post once a day, maybe more than once. I enjoyed that interaction with them. I still do, but I'm, got my other work to do now too. But so I started a paid membership site, and I had, I think I had 12 people sign up, most of them probably from Wealthy Affiliate, but had no interaction, no real comments, no discussion. And then you're just like, and it's just, you don't have that dopamine hit. You don't, it just becomes hollow. So I, and it's costing you money, to be doing that. And I put a lot of work in there. I put a lot of free content on there. A lot of my books I put on there. And I put some courses on there. I expanded on that. And I had some paid things, but nobody at the time jumped on it. And I finally had a bunch of trolls here a couple of weeks ago. All of a sudden, I'm getting emails like crazy of people joining my membership site, and they've all got like Russian email addresses. And then for their name, they're promoting something, and it's all the same. It might have been one person with a bot doing the whole, who knows? And I got looking at what it's going to take now to go in and delete them and get them out. I'm like, oh, that's even more work. So I think it's just simpler if I just delete the whole site. So I deleted, and I ended up deleting both sites. So there, that problem solved.
But that was a learning curve though for you.
Yeah. So in September, would have come up to pay again for the membership, license and all that stuff. So it's like, we're just going to let it go. Now I have more focus this way, because I don't have these, 12 different things laying around me. And I got my publishing, we've got her clothing business, and she's starting to learn it's not all roses and sunshine.
But she's excited.
She is. She's able to make her own money, but then she's got resellers, and some of them aren't doing whatever. Some of them want to quit. Some of them blah blah blah. All the normal problems of business. Customers who that's part of business. That's just part of it. But you're your own boss, and don't let these people dictate to you. You're the boss. You're the owner. You dictate to them how it's going to be, and if they don't like it, they don't have to shop at your store. Bye bye. That was I do not believe the customer is always right, and that's a big thing that businesses promote. And there's, I can understand.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you. I know a lot of customers that are just plain wrong.
Yeah. And my flooring business, I did not hesitate if I saw a situation. I just arrived at. I'd done work with this woman before, and her husband, no problem. They built a couple years later. They built a new house. I'm putting the flooring in the whole house. We arrived to do the work. I was going to install it, make the money in the labor as well. I didn't have to anymore, but you know, I arrived and I know she said hello, and I said hello, but she didn't like how I said hello. And then so she started giving me a hard time, like, what's wrong? What's the problem? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, what? And I'm trying to explain to her there's nothing wrong, you know. But she had something that she needed to vent, and probably had nothing to do with me. And so it's like, well, can we sit down and talk about it? So we went outside, and I had one worker there, and he was, and I actually told him to hold up, have a cup of coffee, whatever. And so we go and talk with her, and she wanted me to apologize for something that I had nothing to apologize for. So we couldn't reach any kind of consensus. And I'm like, well, I can leave all the materials here, and you can find someone else to install this, but I see this is not going to work out. I've got 2 weeks of work to be doing here, and I just am not going to work here for 2 weeks and put up with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I at that time I got migraines, and I knew I was going to have one that day already. You know, so she kind of agrees to that. So I told him to pick up the tools, get in the van, and then she come out there, and then she's like, oh no, she doesn't want the flooring now. No, she doesn't want anything. She wants us to take the flooring back. And
yeah.
And then she's got his door open, so we can't leave, we can't pull out. And I got my checkbook with me, so I pulled my checkbook out, wrote her a check for $4,000 for the materials. And I'm like, are you happy now? It's like, okay, we're on our way. So, and yeah, I got my migraine, pretty nasty one, but I didn't have one the next day.
Yeah.
Because then it's over, you move on, and the material, it can be sold to somebody else. No big deal. It's just, it's just a temporary glitch, a temporary ouch, on the pocketbook.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, easier in the long run.
Yeah, and to this day, I have no idea what happened. I have no idea what if I never worked for her before, I could understand. But I worked for the lady before, and I'm very friendly when I do job. I'm very friendly. I talk just like I am here. I talk and interested in what they're doing. Maybe she was stressed out with all the work building a new home, and so it's a lot to deal with. So anyway, but yeah, so I fired her, and she wasn't the only one. So I only had one customer who stuck it to me, but that's life. Then too, it's easier to walk away than we'll take them to court and go, and then
Mm-hmm.
and with my migraines and stuff, it's just not worth it. So anyway.
Fortunately for me, mine's all low dollar. It's like $100, couple $100, $50, whatever. So I don't really, when I have to refund or something, it's not a major hit, or.
Yeah, even little money sometimes can be a lot. It all depends.
Well, yeah, it can. It sure can. Like right now, for me, for instance, it's been a pretty bad 2 years with this nonsense going on in the world that has impacted so many things. Which it's that snowball effect, or finally the waves hit you. Well, you work for individual people. I said, yeah, but when I have a lot of individual people that can't pay, then it affects me.
Right.
If it only affected a few of the individual people, I can manage.
Right.
But it also affects the places those individual people go to eat that I also serviced. They don't have any money now either. So it's that downhill swing, And by far, I am not nearly as impacted as I know a lot of unfortunates have been. I mean, I'm still sitting here talking to you. For starters, I'm still solvent somewhat. So yeah, I have nothing to complain about. I'm just saying that as a small businessman, they close up all your business, then there's really nothing you can do. Can't evict people because they don't even have to pay their rent. So and that's what we would do too. Is I'm always there on standby to change locks. Had all that ready. Moratorium came, can't do it. So,
yeah.
I'm still dealing with the U.S. or with the state government because I applied for you're familiar with this, the PUA, which covered sole proprietors, contractors, people otherwise wouldn't get unemployment insurance or, unemployment from the states. And then they were trying to say, well, I applied for it 2 years in 2020 or 2 months in 2020, 2 times. And the problem with that is you couldn't speak to anybody because nobody was working there. So, if you had any kind of a glitch, you didn't find out about it for like 3 or 4 months later. Oh, well, you've been denied. You've been denied. The state says, we have no wage records for you. I said, duh, I'm applying for the PUA, not your unemployment. I've been in business at the time as I've been in the business my 29th year. So you have no pay records. That's why I enclosed the Kansas Department of Revenue sales tax quarterly statements, which shows what my gross is and what taxes I paid on my sales to prove to you that I've been in business since 1993. You're not going to have wage records for me. And so now they're doing it now, where I just jumped through hoops last week to put it back through, only to discover I had 90 days to get it in, since they felt that I should have gotten it, which I know I should have. Well, so then I'm looking on my other email address and it's saying, well, I've been denied a week before I even did this because I sent something, or they mailed 2 things to me, they allege, and I sent something back saying that I wasn't affected by the pandemic, which I said, I never sent anything of the kind, and I did not receive anything at either address. So I went ahead and went down and had it postmarked for the day and made a bunch of copies of everything. And this time I did have the 2019 return, because at the time, remember, they had the extension to July. Well, they're wanting all this stuff in March or April. And I'm like, I'm not filing until July, because I have an extension. And so anyway, it's nightmarish. But yeah, so that would come in handy about now. I'll set aside the money to pay the federal tax on the money that the federal government's giving me. I don't care. Just give me what I was entitled to at the time. Because I was sucking wind, at that point. Yeah. You go like a week and a half without work and you're out, cashing in aluminum cans and stuff to try to make ends meet. Not that drastic, but you know what I'm talking about. You're not doing much entertainment or anything.
Yeah, I got the $1,000 grant for my business. That was forgivable. You don't have to pay it back.
Was that the SBA one?
Yeah. And then I was in the process of, I wanted to apply for like $3,000. And then, I got reading all the legal speak and all that stuff. And I'm like, there's no way. If they do an audit, I have to pay for it. Well, it's a small business. You'd kill me. How much is that going to cost me,
With the government doing it? Yeah.
But I have to plan as if something's going to happen, or you're going to kill me. So I ended up, I rejected it, and I looked at it another time. They came back and, but I'm like, no. I don't need that. I'm glad I got the 1,000. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the stimulus. I'll take it.
I haven't even got stimulus, so that's the thing.
So crazy.
It's just doing business right now. I'm gonna go back to when you were talking about like the wealthy affiliate reviews, and see, reviewing all these other companies by comparison, or a so-and-so scam or whatever, or I'd like to use this before I review it or whatever, but I'm not going to invest in it or whatever. I was talking to another member via private message that, is helping me out with another issue because he's had the same experience I had. And so, but we're talking to him about that, and he's, well, I really want to do the MMO, but he goes, I don't want to review anything else. And I suggested to him, this is my take, and other people probably come up with the idea. If you like Wealthy Affiliate, and you've even seen it in the Wealthy Affiliate blogs where they'll break it down, which isn't a bad thing. Somebody says, well, put that on your MMO site. Well, not really necessary, because your WA blog's Google indexed too, so somebody could look at that and still join. So not a biggie, But I told him, I said, since you're so passionate about Wealthy Affiliate, why don't you do a big Wealthy Affiliate review for starters? and then break it down to its component parts and what each component part of the platform is that you like and why, and research that. You could get 3 or 4, 5 blog posts off of Jaxie alone, which I really don't understand it. I haven't really dug in depth to it because I'm not using it right now. I'm sure it's good, but I mean, and he's like, wow, I never thought of that. And I'm like, yeah. And I said, because if I ever really do go MMO, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to look at all these other companies. I don't care about all those other companies. I'm going to focus on the one I care about, and I'm going to give you an in-depth breakdown. And you could write blogs for days just on wealthy affiliate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Past and present. Like, this used to be this way. Let's look at what changed. You could do so many different things that way. And it'd be interesting to see what the title of his website comes out. He goes, can I use that? I said, dude, it's not copyrighted. Now, on Mel Waller's video, you've heard that here first, by the way, everybody. So, but the thing is, and of course you'll cut that out, but the thing is anybody could do that, and everybody's take is going to be different. So you can't really say it's copyright. The idea just came out there. I said, well, why don't you do this? If you don't want to look at anything else, you could have a hell of a website.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure
because
Colin Carson would appreciate it.
And it's also constantly evolving. So you could say, look back at this post I did 2 years ago and see the difference and see the improvement. You're joining now. This is what we had back in the trenches or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So wanted to interject that because you had talked about the MMO.
He could interview people on Wealthy Affiliate, all kinds of blog posts there. He could take it to YouTube and
Oh yeah, and YouTube. Well, YouTube, they're using. See, I don't like social media all that much, and I understand the importance of it, and I'll reluctantly have to go that route, especially if whatever works out with somebody else I'm working on works out for a site. I'll let him handle all that too, But I don't really preferably like it. However, YouTube basically is a social media site too. If you really want to get down to brass tacks, you might, you can comment on it and everything too. One of my locksmith buddies up in Nebraska is putting out some, and they're very professional, even though he just does it off the cuff. So he's a natural. And of course, I've got to be there with my smarmy comments like, I did not know that, or something, because he knows it's me, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to get him his watches and his, and he doesn't make long videos. It's like anywhere from 25 seconds up to 2 minutes. Here's how you change the remote or the battery in a remote for this car. Here's how you do this. Here's why you want to get rid of this. We're using the Amazon lock pinning kit for a quick set lock. Let's see if it works. And then, of course, he'll just in the middle of it open the bag and the pins go flying. They're individually packaged in there, but apparently he goes, well, these apparently weren't sealed. And so they're everywhere, but he recovers nicely, all natural, and basically, gives you what his take is on things, which is really cool. So I want to get like that, but my YouTube channel consists of the blog dogs doing whatever they're doing, my commentary on storms, and Tig doing her thing or hissing at him or whatever, or Frank riding the tractor. If you've ever gone over there and looked, because old 92-year-old Frank riding around on a tractor, which is pretty interesting, or Frank drunk and pretty much cussing the Republican Party, which I had to put it on there. Sorry. It's there, but it's rated for do not watch this one unless you're, but anyway, so YouTube's going to be a real good one. I think I have no problem with doing YouTube. I just I'll probably do them promoting my books, or how you were talking about doing some reading on your YouTube and stuff. Well, Dr. Zek or Jim, he has Papa reads this book, Papa reads that book. Haven't seen him a while on the platform, so he's either really into YouTube or maybe he quit again or whatever, but he's still got stuff on his YouTube channel about he's reading from a book when he's sitting in front of a fireplace. So I would say that yours is going to probably resemble you reading some of your work, and I'm thinking about how mine will be. I might have a stack of the books off to the side, and kick back in an easy chair or something reading. Let's read chapter such and such and what have you. There are so many avenues that can be done promotion wise, and then those people can see that, and it's like the old what was that? The Brett commercial from way back when, or Schwab or something. First, they told two friends, and then they told two friends. And remember, all the faces kept going, and so on, and so on, and so. Remember that? Well, it's the same thing. I think it was
Yeah.
Brett, but I can't remember. I'm a little younger than you, so I was probably like, first grade or something when I was watching them. But I do remember that thing, and that's how I think stuff like this is going to work out. You got to enjoy what you're doing to promote what you enjoyed.
Right.
I mean, it's imagine if you do your passion, your book, and then you go to promote it, but it's not so much a passion.
Right.
That's why you do have like publicists and everything else, because I just do this. That's where I will hire people. Handle the other stuff. We can share the proceeds. I have fun doing this. Get irritable if I got to do this. Do you ever find that, that's the part sometimes about working totally by yourself, which isn't fun because you have to do it all.
Yeah, and sometimes it's impossible to do everything. You just gotta let a lot of stuff just slide.
And then you're like, oh, well, this is too far gone, or I've gotten into debt doing this because I thought it was okay, or oops, forgot to pay that bill, late charge, or forgot to file those taxes, et cetera, et cetera.
Or you just miss out on some really important information. Like when I did that search and saw that, I've done about $25 of income on my books that I've personally written. And of course, that's what Amazon has sold. I've had people contact me if I sell it, well, I'm making money there as well, which doesn't show up on the Amazon report. So, but I got looking at it like, well, I wonder what this, because I do so many, especially on the self-help, personal development type books. I do a lot of different authors, and I wonder if this author did anything. Zero. hasn't made a penny. Oh, okay. And then I looked at James Allen, who's from the turn of the century, early 1900s, late 1800s. And I published every book he ever wrote, and I got about $1,500 in income just from that one author. Like, oh, wow. Now, if I were going to
hell of a lot better than $25, isn't it?
Yeah. If I were going to read a book on YouTube, maybe I should read James Allen and then include the link to the book if they might be interested in buying the book, also. And then I'd have it linked to my website. Then that's the time not to send them to Amazon, send them directly to me, get that full retail. But yeah, I was really surprised. Like, wow, I knew he was popular, but $1,500, and of course some of them, and that's where some of them books are probably priced pretty low because you're in a competitive with everybody else reprinting the exact same thing. And I know some of my books only make 35 cents profit, but that's what's got me down on the bottom, because if you're higher priced, you don't even show up in Amazon search. So
yep,
how good that does. So yeah, so but what would even the Catholic ones, okay, and that's what got me, when I started, I was able to do that. I kept track of how many copies I sold, everything, year to year, month to month. It's like, wow, this saint is really selling, or this type of book is really, like I said, Thomas Kempis has sold but hasn't done that well. But there's a couple of those daily kind of devotional books, Maxims and Sayings by Saint Philip of Neri, very popular book. I made a lot of money on that. And then there's another one, and so it's like, okay, then that might be good to do other ones that are similar in nature, because people are obviously buying those types of books. Yeah, it's my Star Trek books that I did, the complete book of Vulcan knowledge. Yeah, those have not done hardly anything.
Oh, you did something like that though?
Yeah, I did. And Klingon knowledge and Ferengi knowledge and.
And Norwegian knowledge to the end of time.
Yeah, I did Norwegian knowledge. I actually did.
I have that copy of the book.
I gave a few of those away, or sometimes sent the PDF. Roy,
did that do pretty good? Because those are the no content books you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Some did sell. I like Honduran sold. some down in Latin America. It's like, you don't know. And of course, there would be a good one if I had a website on the complete books of knowledge, and then something about, for each country or something. And then now you could drive people to that one website, and then there they all are, nice and together.
And the cool thing about that website, I believe, would be once they got there, they're like, well, there's nothing here except the title. And it's like, well, we're just advertising what you're getting.
Yeah. But the people, at least some of the people who read it, they said,
I mean, I loved what you did with that. The dedications in front, the acknowledgments in the back, and then 148 pages of ufda, ufda. Now, is that ufda on every book, or is it different sayings?
Every book, but in the beginning, there's, some kind of, saying or some, that's on the top of every page.
Yeah.
That would be probably different, per language, or, I was able to find something in I think Balkan might have been live long and prosper. But the Ferengi, there was a word for prophet, and I might have put prophet along with it. Anyway.
Yeah.
I tried to pick out something that
well, because it's just a neat novelty book to have. It's one of those gag books, but
yep.
At the same time, what a great gift to somebody.
Yep. And that's
because I get off on that kind of stuff,
When
I really do.
Grade school or high school, I'm half Norwegian. So, dad's full-blooded Norwegian, and we'd go up north 3 hours to where his family home was originally. And we'd stop in this one town, and we'd eat at this restaurant of Norwegian food. Well, I can't beat that. And one day I got done early and asked permission to just go look around at the stores on the street there. And I went across the street, and there was a gift shop. And they had the complete book of Norwegian knowledge. And that's where I saw it. It was all blank pages then, but you can't do more than 2 blank pages on Amazon or they have a heart attack. So that's why you got to put something on the page. And I don't know if I bought it then, but I showed Dad or told Dad about it. Yeah, we thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, and again, because of the 2 blank pages, I didn't think it was something that was possible. And then somebody in Wealthy Affiliate live chat got talking about that. And then that popped the idea in my head again, and like, and then I did some searching and saw, this is how they're doing it.
I wonder if that was Helen, because she was doing no content books. Helen 123 or something.
It's hard.
Spain or well, I'm not sure what. I know she's. Anyway, I know that it's been mentioned a couple of times about no content books. That they were, making a comeback or something, because I've ventured on putting out a couple myself. Don't know what I'm going to say. I guess I could do one. I could do one on like Shadow the Blog Dog and tie it to Zoolander and go 365 days of Shadow, and it's all the same picture. It's the same look. It's the same picture. There you go.
They got diaries, they got planners, they got
all
kinds
and like
of
that
things.
one you were talking about with the quotes earlier, 365 quotes for each day.
And that becomes
and you can multi-purpose that so many other ways, it's not even funny.
And so I was really surprised. And some people make some very serious money doing that. And again, I didn't do any marketing, and marketing is really crucial.
Yeah, that's the sad part. If were it not for that, boy, we'd all be successful, believe me.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes you can be. I mean, if you're one of the lucky ones or in the right place at the right time, you can escape all that. But that's more the exception than the rule.
Yep. Yeah, you got to really work it smart. And Will Ferris did that with his 4-hour work week. That I think it was the first book he ever published. But he was already a year before it was released. He is networking. He is doing everything to promote it, and hooking up with all these blogs and influencers. So when it came time to come out, he had all these people ready to promote it, and maybe they were getting some kind of a commission or stuff, whatever. So it went whoosh right up to #1. you know, so and I think his was a maybe a New York Times bestseller, which is more important than a Amazon bestseller. But you know, and I've read what he's done is like, wow, he deserves it because he did the work.
Hmm.
He did the work.
He laid the groundwork.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, boy, I don't think I don't even do all that just to get ready to, you know, sell a book. Anyway, but he deserved it. And of course,
So
now he's got the fame and success. So now people are naturally they're going to buy whatever he comes out with as long as it's got value. And on and on and on he goes, you know. And he
mhm.
still blogs or podcasts or whatever. So he did good. He deserves it. He deserves it.
So
Other people I see. Go
what's
ahead.
your publishing company name, or what do you call your publishing that you do? Do you have a name for it?
My Catholic books is with Saint Athanasius Press, and he was a saint from the 300 AD time frame. And my other books is Life Transformation Publishing.
Okay, I was just kind of curious. Those are both good names. I was figuring it'd be like Mel's Publishing or something.
No, the Catholic one I went with Saint Athanasius because he
Uh-huh.
was considered the defender of the faith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And when I was Catholic, I was a traditional Catholic, which is old school,
Mm-hmm.
Latin Mass, the old ways, so much more hardcore, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, and then the Life Transformation Publishing, it's like, well, you know, it's self-help, you know, but it's kind of whatever. And then some odds and ends get thrown in under, well, and I did do one where there's no category for it. Yeah, there's Mel and Wen's publishing company, you know, so it's just us.
Okay.
And that's what it'll probably be when we do the language one we're doing, where it's the Science and English phrase book. It'll be Mel
Now,
and Wen.
is this like, are these, because I'm wanting to know for myself too, are these like publishing companies in the traditional sense, like it's a corporation or an LLC or something, or that's when it starts booming, that's the name of it, and is that like a, you know what I'm talking about? That's what you put your
I'm
little copyright thing next
mm,
to, is when that's in one of your books, because I didn't do that on any of mine this go round,
oh well,
and so I was curious.
everything I do right now is I'm a sole proprietor.
I
Um,
mean, you don't have to. It's part of you. In other words, those names are part of your what you do. Because I
right.
know a sole proprietor covers, depending on what income you have, you can lump a bunch of small things into
Yeah,
one just
anything
to
and
sell them.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it's when it
Yeah,
starts
my
getting
taxes.
bigger that you need to divide it a little bit or
Yeah,
something.
on my taxes on my Schedule C, I'll have St. Athanasius Press, and then I'll include Life Transformation. Any of my book sales
Sure,
fall under there.
sure.
And you know,
And then
affiliate marketing.
DBA or what Mel Waller down below, because that's
Yeah,
your name. Or no, it'll have your name at the top, and then it'll
yeah,
have doing business
business
as,
as
you
right.
know. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Now, if I ever got making a lot of money, then you want to incorporate. You want to do something more to protect yourself and to try to protect your money,
Well,
but
and yeah, and
it
if you're
doesn't pay
making
off
that
right
kind of
now.
money, you can hire
Yeah,
the help to do it
right.
too, like the attorneys and what have you.
But right now, it don't make sense to do that. So the
No.
one thing that I was able to do because I'm overseas is I found that I no longer needed to file state taxes in Wisconsin because even though I do call it my home of record, I'm not living there. I'm not doing any any kind of book sales there.
And you don't
So I
have a
stopped
little
doing
piece of property there somewhere that keeps
nope,
you bound to it.
nope,
Yeah.
nope. It's just my banks is, you know, all I got there. So I did so I don't file. And plus for I don't know how many years I didn't have to pay state taxes anyway, you know.
Right.
So so all I got is federal, and you're pretty much stuck with that. You're pretty much stuck with the self-employment tax, which is the one I've always tried to figure out.
Yeah.
And of course, the way you reduce self-employment is to reduce your income. The way you reduce your income is to have qualified expenses that you can write off, write off, write off, write off, write off.
Unfortunately
Even
for
though
sole proprietors, that's pretty liberal too.
yes, and although the best expense usually is no expense at all, unfortunately, but still there's things well, you know, we started doing better. I had my 10-year-old laptop, you know, last year.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe it survived that long. And Well, I was able to buy 2 brand new PCs. Well, that's kind of a personal thing, but it's business too. So it's business.
And it's also
So
liberating to know how much cheaper they are from before when you got rid of the 10-year-old, because you couldn't buy 2 of them then for that.
yeah,
You know,
so yeah.
that's the thing.
So that helps offset there again. That lowers my self-employment tax, blah blah blah, and I am collecting Social Security now, which also helps us live financially better. But that is not impacted until I make, once you make up to a certain number, then they start deducting your Social Security. But I'm not there yet. So we're doing good, and of course her income, since we're not legally married, her income is her income.
Yeah. Yeah, when that changes though, then that's when it starts getting a little ugly.
Yeah, or we have to become more creative or something else. So
They don't have common law in the Philippines, where, well, we've been together, like we cohabitated and have children and been together for like 12 years, so you're a man and wife.
they do have common law here, but I have a legal impediment to be married here at the moment, and ever since I've been here, actually, which can be fixed, but it costs money, of course.
Yeah, why does everybody want that stuff? I don't understand.
Yeah, so, but our
If
goal
y'all
now
didn't want it, I would do my stuff for you for free. So if y'all didn't want any money, I would do my stuff for free. And then you see how all that works.
so right now we're hoping to be married legally in the United States in August. We're getting married online. There's one county in Utah, it's the only place we can even do it in, that we can do it and get our marriage license and be legally married everywhere in the world except in the Philippines. So
Wow. Wait a minute, except in the Philippines?
Except in the Philippines. So
how does that work?
the way it works. So once we get that done, then that's a big hurdle. And that also will make it easier than being legally married in the United States now, to make it easier to get our daughter recognized by the embassy, besides, but she is on the birth certificate with the exact spelling and everything correctly, to get her accepted to be an American citizen, to get her American passport and have a Philippine passport. And then that opens up the door to her. Not only that, she will receive money every month until she's 18 years old, because I'm on Social Security. She qualifies for some of that also.
Wow.
So that is really cool, and I'll take that to the bank. And so, just even with just that, her and her mother are set. I don't have to worry about it, and that's my concern. Is if I drop dead tomorrow, things are not where they should be for her to have a halfway decent life, without living in the poverty that she was living in when I met her, and that, in fact, I just rented a house for her 2 brothers, because where they were living, it's falling apart really seriously bad. And I know her family, they're trying to save money to fix it up, build it up, whatever. But anyway, so they've got a nice very small apartment, and that's fine. And they do try to pay some of the rent. I don't give them an ultimatum of whatever you can afford to chip in, that's great.
Yeah.
And it's not forever, so it's like, they can't expect me. I can decide next month, okay, I'm done, and that's the way that goes. So, but no, it's a lot of legal complications over here, and when they're all resolved, I'd be more than happy to discuss them on YouTube or anywhere. But there's some things I just gotta.
Oh yeah.
Stay quiet for now until we get them resolved.
Oh yeah. Save it for the best-selling ebook that you'll probably do too. When it's all.
And we've got a path now to do all that, and then the biggest obstacle to make it happen quick, of course, is money. So
isn't that an obstacle for a lot of us?
It is, but it really is over here, and then the worst part of the one of the biggest challenges that I've got to deal with because it'll be a sizable amount of money by the time, because every month the amount is going up, 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 up. It keeps increasing. The problem is, okay, who am I dealing with when I do this? Am I handing over the money and is it actually going to go and take care of the problem? Or is that guy just going to stick it in his pocket and now, wow, I just lost all that money and now I'm on their radar and now it's not good. So anyway, but and we almost thought there wasn't even that possibility to do that, but they have a law that I do fit under that we can kind of get on there and hopefully it'll work out. I just gotta, keep doing what I'm doing, and I know I made a lot of Filipino friends that have some influence too if things took a bad turn, whatever. So anyway, but yeah, it has made, that is one thing, I guess, if I could go back and avoid it happening in the first place, yeah, I do it in a heartbeat. But it was really having a lot of wrong information and thinking I had the right information, and then when the time came, like, whoa, what you say, what?
Yeah, hindsight's 2020.
It's too late. It's too late. Yeah. So it wasn't, and I believe me, I'm the kind of guy that does research, but it's still I missed it. Anyway, but
is what it is. I mean, that happens to us all, I'm afraid, at one time or another. Maybe more so to some than others, but I think we've all had at least a bite of it at some point.
There's some Westerners here that are homeless. They're just they got in with the wrong woman and she took them for everything and left him high and dry. And they're just out there. Some are almost professional beggars. You always get those in any group. But yeah, they got clobbered and wiped out, and now with COVID and stuff and medical, it's well, even that little thing with my heart. Well, I know if I have a heart attack, I'm dead, because there's no way I can go and afford to pay the hospital bill. And here,
I think I'm in the same boat there. So yeah,
you don't leave the hospital unless you pay your bill. It doesn't matter. You can be all well, fine. You cannot leave the hospital. You're a prisoner in their hospital.
So what happens when they run out of rooms? They have more people there.
Well, then maybe they'll just stick you in the hallway. It's pathetic what goes on over here.
That's bad.
Yeah.
I can understand it. I mean, because most people can't pay. So, but at the same time,
but it's bad. It's bad. That's what there was with this COVID. There was I think it was from Britain. They let him die right in the hospital lobby. They wouldn't accept him. And he was like breathing problem, all kinds of problems. But and this was the emergency room, and they would not. They're giving him a run around, blah 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 blah. He died right there, and then and that became a international incident for a little while, and the Philippine government apologized to the British government.
Oh yeah, like that apology is going to really help.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, no, it's very different than in the United States. If you go to the emergency room, you don't need money. They're going to take care of you. Yeah, if it's a major thing, like a major operation, no, you're going to need the money because they don't.
But yeah, they'll make you comfortable. In other words, you're not going to, but yeah, they're not going to, unless there's some celebrity gives you $1,000 or something, you're not going to get it,
Yeah.
But at least, but with you saying that they have to stay in the hospital.
Yeah, because I already got hospitalized here once.
Did you have to stay or did you have the money, fortunately?
We got out the very next morning before we ran out of money. We had to pay a deposit. I knew that. It's a $200 deposit. First, I thought I had a sharp pain on my right side, which I wrongfully told myself it could be a ruptured appendix. And of course, you can die from that.
Yes.
So we get our neighbor to take me to the only good doctor I trust in this community. And and I used my American influence to get seen by him sooner, because they're I already knew what to expect when I walked in there. You know, oh, sir, could you sit down, sir? We'll take your name, sir, and we'll get to you. No, I'm like, no, I need to see Doc Lou now. And I start shouting. So I know he's already hearing me in his room, wherever he's working. You know, I need him now. I'm not waiting for nothing, you know. And so it took a couple minutes, but he did come out, you know, and I explained what was going on, and they're like, okay, we'll get an ambulance here and get that set up for you. But it you know, it cost me about $20 just to have my talk with him. Well, he did give me a painkiller shot, because it was
What did it end up being?
It was high. The pain was way high.
But what did it end up? What did it end up being? The pain, what was the problem that you ended up?
Kidney stone.
Well, that hurts like hell too, I heard.
Yes, they do. I had one on my left side before, but because of the appendix, I told the wrong story. But so anyway, but then I had to pay the doctor. Okay, he's paid. There goes some of our money. Ambulance comes, I have to pay them. That was about $70. Okay, we got to pay them before I can get in the ambulance.
Well, you know, in the United States, that's probably ambulance runs probably anywhere from $400 to $2,000. It might just be a block away.
Yeah, well, the good thing, I'm from a very small town. Volunteer, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's a $500 trip to the hospital, but if we're going to send you a bill. If you don't pay, it's okay. So you know, it's whatever. But here you pay cash before you get in there, and I had to walk myself to the ambulance and crawl into the ambulance and get onto the stretcher. And do they secure me to the stretcher? No. The guy who's sitting in the back of the stretcher does nothing but sit there. You get no medical aid in the ambulance.
Did you look at him and go, then you get no money?
Well, it's just,
Can't do that.
And then the stretcher wasn't secure, so it would slide back and forth, and it hit the back of the seat.
No, Mel.
And we're going up hills and down hills to
So
get
Mel's
to
going this way. Hopefully the back doors are secured.
Yeah, that, and then the pain only. And the one good thing was the doctor did ride along. So he left all his patients. There was nobody else to see them. He left them all. And it's a 2-hour ride just to go to the hospital. It's going to be 2 hours for him to get back to his clinic. And so he rode along. So at least I felt, okay, if something kind of happens, maybe he'll come back and do something. So I finally ended up, I had to just kind of sit up because the laying down and getting thrown back and forth was just crazy. And so we get to the hospital, and then we get in there, and they take me into the emergency room. So doctors get talking to me before we pay. But then they do come up, grab her. You need to come. We need to get the deposit. 4 different doctors looked at me. All 4 said the same thing. They thought it was kidney stones. They had me point to where it was. They pushed where the pain should have been if it was the appendicitis. So they had me feeling kind of good that it was kidney stones. But you know,
that a lot less money. Is that a lot less money?
For what?
For like the surgery or whatever had to happen?
Well, they wanted to do an ultra scan,
mm-hmm.
so they can actually pinpoint exactly where this is. And if it's a stone, it would be in there. And if the appendix ruptured, they would see the appendix ruptured. So, you know, they stuck an IV in me. We had a private room. And, but I had heard this, that you could be stuck in a hospital if you didn't pay. And so my wife and I were up there, and finally, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I called down to their accounting, which is open all night long for whatever reason. And I'm asking, you know, is it true that if we can't pay, we have to stay? And they're absolutely. They got security at the doors checking everybody.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, can you figure out our bill? I want to cancel our thing in the morning, and we'd like to be able to leave first thing in the morning as soon as possible. And so they ran it up, whatever, and so we were gonna, well, and then I was still gonna have to pay for the medicine that they were gonna have to use, that they're not gonna use. Oh, but we already took. Oh yeah, and you're gonna stick it right back in the pharmacy.
Yeah, and sell it again. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so it didn't do me no good to argue with them there as long as I could get out. We ended up with like $5 or $6 left, and we had taken all of our money there. You know, we took bill money, we took everything,
Mm.
and but we were able to get out and get a bus, you know, back home, and the pain never came back. You know, it went away before I got to the hospital, probably thanks to the ambulance throwing me all over the place.
Yeah.
And it didn't come back. And of course, then that means I had kidney stone before. I know I got to stop drinking soft drinks, drink lots of water, and try to get things flushed out. And I might have had some minor problems after that, but that was it. So, but it's like, what a nightmare. And I told them, I said, you are not going to keep me. I'll get out of the window and I'll climb down the side of the building. There ain't no way you're going to keep me in this building. You know, and even while I was waiting for her to take care of the bill, I decided to go out into the hallway and walk down by the lobby on that floor. They got all excited. We're not even supposed to leave our rooms.
Oh, they're thinking you're stampeding for the door or something.
Okay, I'm like, sir, you need to go back to your room. And I go, no, I'm not. I'm checking out. I can stand here so you can watch me, but I'm not going back to that room. And they're not used to loud vocal people, so they're like, okay.
Wow, man.
Oh, well, what an experience. Yeah. So yeah, so this is some major, and yeah, and actually I did make some moves here. I transferred almost all of my money from the States. I'm not going to post this for a while because the money be in the bank, but I moved whatever I could here just in case.
Yeah.
I ended up in the hospital, and we could give me some idea what the costs are per day, whatever, what's obviously if they got to do some major operation, we're not going to be able to afford it. So that's life,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's the price.
Yeah, we're unless we're really wealthy, we're all a heartbeat away from bankruptcy. So you know.
Yeah. Oh, been there, done that.
Yeah.
That actually was a good thing. That was the best Christmas present in July I ever had in my life. $138,000 of debt forgiven. All it cost me was the $1,000 that I had to pay my lawyer to do it. They didn't confiscate anything. They didn't take anything. They didn't sell anything.
Mm-hmm.
That was a heck of a deal. And now I'm debt free, credit cards paid off. Whoa.
Well, yeah, and nowadays I think it's a little more difficult, but allegedly I've never really.
They made it harder. They made it harder.
Yeah.
But you can still do it. It was much easier than I thought to begin with. And that led to almost my first divorce back in the States. Because 6 months later, my now ex-wife ran up $10,000 in credit card debt and said, why? We've got the cash now to afford anything, you know. We don't need to be running up anyway. That blew me for us.
Said that she wants to probably save the cash for something else.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, I mean, you know,
that's the past.
We've all had those debt issues. I still do. Dummy me, pay off 3 properties, you know, and it costs more to keep them when you've got them paid off than it did if you just bought them on a mortgage, you know.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I bought and sold real estate for a while.
Yeah.
While I was back there, and unfortunately, being a very small communities, there's not a lot that pops up. And of course, I wasn't paying generally. Well, one time, yeah, I went to a bank one time, but then you're doing the land contract. You draw up a contract. I'll pay you $70,000 for this house. I give you this money for down payment, and then I'll pay you blah 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 at this interest rate. And it's a better deal than you can get with the banks normally. And of course, you're going to rent the property out right away, so you can get your cash flow, and that's paying all my bills, pays the insurance, pays my mortgage, pays whatever. And then, you know, and usually I'd go in there and maybe it'd be a fixer-upper. You go and fix it up. So it's going to look, when you sell, it's going to be much nicer than it was when you bought it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got your rent up in the right area, now you've got the cash flow there. And the one property that I did use a bank and my brother helped me with, the people that came in and rented it, we basically, well, then we were with the bank. So then I basically did a land contract with them, you know, but the banks still had their ties to it, and they paid so much, and they could get to a point, and I gave them a pretty good deal of what they could buy it out for. I made money, they saved money. His credit wasn't good to where he probably couldn't have done it through a bank. So it was a win-win-win-win all the way around. And 2 years later, he bought it. So short term is good. I don't like dealing with tenants for a long time. So
No, I
but
can
there's al-
I can definitely understand that.
yeah, and there's always people motivated to sell. You know, you've got motivated sellers. And the first property was a 4-unit apartment building right next to our 4-unit apartment building, and a 3-unit apartment building that we built with our own hands.
That's cool.
And a very wealthy man built that after we did ours, and it cost him like $20,000 more to build than what ours last one cost. And it wasn't cash. He was losing money from the word go. He couldn't get the rent because he paid too much.
Yeah. Yep.
And then he owns 3 McDonald's, so he don't have the time to mess around with an apartment building.
No.
Dad
Yeah, I
I
had my experience with some real estate for rent. Yeah.
So he
I
was
didn't know.
motivated.
Yep.
And a realtor was not wise and told me about it when they didn't have him signed up for a listing yet. So Dad actually knew him, and Dad called him.
You did
And
the
he was
end
over
around
that
on him.
afternoon. And we worked out an agreement that afternoon, and I bought the property for he paid 96. I bought it for what did I give you? 75.5, I think.
Yeah.
And then I needed a $5,500 down payment, which I borrowed from the bank. I said I was going to buy a stereo and a TV, and I needed all this cool stuff. But I knew they wouldn't give me money for a piece of real estate.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got the down payment. Yeah, and then I went in, gave everybody 30 days notice, raised all the rents. 2 people moved out, 2 people stayed. But now the rent was the same as everybody else on that whole street. We were all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Had it for 2 years and sold it for $80-some thousand. So
Wow.
it was a win-win. It made money. It cash flowed. I bought a subscription to Time Life Books Home Improvement Series, you know, and that's tax deductible. So
Yeah.
I got something I could use and learn from. And anyway, you just got to be creative. Yeah, if I'd have been in a big city somewhere, I'd probably still be in America with, you know, all this real estate coming and going. Because there are ways to there's always motivated sellers.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And I always learned early on, if you had properties like little houses or something that you bought and you know had good tenants, they'll pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
You know, and my problem was I got into in the early 90s. I was making big money locksmithing, so I was buying up those house trailers left and right for $500-600 and renting them out, and it was all good until I realized I don't own this land, so they might skip the rent on the trailer. Well, make sure you pay the lot rent. Oh yeah, we'll do that. And of course, the trailer park never told you that they didn't, you know, and so they'll call you about a year later and go, well, you know, you owe 13,000 whatever. And so I just said, where do I sign? I'm signing the title over, you know, stuff like that, because you know, what can you do? I live and learn from it. I won't do it again, but it's another one on my bucket list. I wanted to be a landlord. I don't want to anymore, but you know, did it. And for me, that was something I wanted to do. If I did it another way, it would be a great different way, but I'm beyond that now. You know,
I didn't even think about that. I bought one trailer, which I planned on renting it out. I got it really good price. And well, the problem was the trailer park did not allow you. You needed to personally live in that trailer if you owned it. They did not.
Oh, they didn't allow you to sublease or
yeah.
no.
So then at least creative Mel. Okay, here we come back to the land contract. Now I need to find somebody who's willing to buy this, you know, with a real low, it was a five, I only think I paid $2,000 for the trailer. Well,
I always think they're a bargain as far as the trailer.
yeah, because a few months of rent, you're gonna have that money back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like $500 down, and then, you know, here's your monthly payments. And again, in X number of years, you could, you know, here's a buyout price of work. Well, that's it. The people, again, didn't have the credit, young couple, and they paid on time, no problems with them whatsoever. And boom, they paid off. I made money again. Win, win, win.
Yep.
So
yeah, sometimes things gel and work like they're supposed to.
yeah, yeah,
I call those the exceptions to the rule.
yeah. Yeah, I know. Robert Allen, I think, was the one who wrote a lot of books on how, you know, buying real estate and selling it and making money. And I read his stuff, and yeah, and it basically worked. I mean, it was kind of, sometimes realtors were like, huh? You know, they weren't exposed to that very much. So I did a double offer. The one house that I told you about we had sold, I did a double offer on that. The woman died, so, you know, it's all part of the inheritance, but it was sitting there a year. They couldn't sell it. So I offered them, I gave them a double offer. I said, if you do it on a land contract, I can give you this much, which was the higher number. If I got to go through a bank, it's going to be a lower number, you know. Well, they talked it over, and they didn't want to have to deal with. They want to get rid of it. See, they're motivated. You got all these people who want a piece of the pie. Nobody wants to win anymore. So they took the lower.
Yeah.
And that's where I got my brother to, hey, can you put down the down payment, and then, you know, I'll get the loan, and I'll do that, and then he gets paid back, and he gets what did I give him? I give him like 25%.
Is this the brother that I know? Is this the brother that I know about?
No, this is actually my older brother.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was like, wow, that's cool, double offer, that's neat, you know, and yeah, so it was it's fun. Yeah, it was fun. If you have the money, yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do. It's just like her, you know, a lot of people here are poor. She wouldn't have the money to do this clothing business. There's just no way, you know, there's just no way she could save up in 5 years to have the money to buy one bundle of used clothes. But okay, here, I got the money, here, you know, so we bought 7 bundles so far. We still got a lot of clothes. We don't need to buy any more now, but we got a lot of variety. We got a lot of good stuff.
And people are always going to need them too.
Yeah, they do. And the poor can't afford to go to the mall and pay mall prices. So, and people buy, and I told us, especially focus on women's clothing and the children's clothing, because that's what the women are going to buy. Anyway, and she's learning. She's had some, you know, bumps along the way, and she fired a reseller tonight, which is good. You gotta do that. Don't let them push you around. You're the one who dictates what gets done and how it gets done and when it gets done. Yeah. So, and of course she gets all bent out of shape on it, but you know, that's part of business. You know,
those are the growing pains, right?
And she's worked for other people, so she knows how bent out of shape you can get just trying to work for somebody else at slave wages and slave hours. You know, I was surprised. She worked for 7-Eleven here, but it's different in different countries.
God, I haven't seen a 7-Eleven in forever.
It's an American 7-Eleven, but it's here in the Philippines. And they wanted her to work 24 hours straight.
Ooh.
I don't care what job you have, unless you're in the military, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, we were 24/7. Remember, that's
yeah,
what they said anyway. You're always on duty.
Yeah, and anyway, yeah, I don't remember exact detail, but I know I told her she's fine and she quit, because you can't do that. You know, there's so many ways you can get hurt or whatever, because you're out of it. You know, you're totally zoned out, whatever. But you know, it's just ridiculous. You know, the places she worked, and then the peanuts that they're giving you, you know, crazy. So now
What
she's
is that?
making,
I mean, what is that in American dollars for an hourly wage? Or negative American dollars? It's
I
not very
forget what the
much,
minimum,
right?
I forget what the minimum wage, but the minimum wage is less than $10 a day. I know that
Ooh.
much.
Ooh.
Less than.
So in other words, a 24-hour day would be like less than a quarter or something, probably.
Yeah, and they don't pay overtime and all that other good stuff. There's people that work at the public market, and they usually hire young people, you know. They'll work 12 hours a day and get $4 a day they're making. And they work every day of the week, every month, every week, nonstop.
Mm.
$4. And they got to pay their way there. They got to pay their way home. They got to pay for their food, you know, so they don't even have that $4 by the time they get home. So, and $4 doesn't do much for you at all here.
Well,
So,
because I was going to ask you, you know, as an American there, so you're not like a rich man there or something, right?
no, but everybody thinks I am because I'm an American.
Well, that's you know, just like I just did, you know, thinking that you would be, you know, like I hear stories about Mexico or Costa Rica, and oh yeah, you know, take 50,000 down there, and you're the equivalent of a millionaire or something. You know?
Yeah. I'm certainly doing well now, finally. I mean, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
And our life is improving, you know, every day, every week, every month. You know, we're gonna move maybe.
Well, every
We
day
were,
I'm alive is an improvement. So, you know.
Yeah, we originally were gonna move before the end of this year, but now it's kind of hard to get out and look at properties and stuff because of all the COVID rules, blah, blah, blah.
What island are you on?
We're on the island of Cebu. CEBU.
Oh, okay,
It
yeah.
has,
Is that the
it
biggest
has,
one, or?
well, Cebu City is the second largest city in the Philippines, which is on Cebu here. Manila being the first, of course, the capital up on Luzon to the north. We're in the middle of the country, kind of like.
Yeah.
You know, you got 7,107 islands, and we're right about in the center, a little bit south.
Whoa, how many islands?
7,107
In the Philippines.
in the Philippines. It's all islands, yeah.
I never knew. See, I learned my new thing. I've learned a few new things from you today, but I learned my big new thing today. I figured it's sort of like the Hawaiian Islands. There's like 5 or 6 or something. So
No.
7,000 plus islands.
Yeah. And a couple probably are
Are
not
all of them
visible on high
inhabited?
tide, a couple might not be visible.
I was going to say, are a couple of them uninhabited, or?
Yes, there are some uninhabited ones. I never looked into it. Is there a problem if somebody actually went? Because I thought, boy, if I want to really go off the grid, you got fish, you got a grocery store right at the ocean edge.
Well,
And
yeah, it
it
sounds phenomenal, but my take on it would be, Mel, to push yourself even more, buy one of the little uninhabited ones, like if it's enough to put your foot on or something, and go, I own an island. See ya. You know, might not be there tomorrow, or when the tide's up, it's not there, but I own an island.
Maybe you didn't see
I
it
have
enough.
I have to look that up now. I have to blow up a picture of that just to see what you're talking about. It's like, that boggles my mind. That's.
I will send you a picture of Mel's Island.
Oh, is it? Can it fit in your hand or what? I mean,
I'm standing on it, and I'll send you a picture. But it's like you said, that the tide comes up, and now I got this island of sand. I even put my chair out there. You know, it's like chillax, and this is Mel's Island. I don't care what.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. I know what you're talking about. There's a little higher spot somewhere, and so you're jumping.
We lived on the beach, and yeah, and when the tide goes out, it really goes out far. Where we were at, yeah. So
well, I'm envious of you in a way. That seems like a great lifestyle, and you know, in Wealthy Affiliate, we live the laptop lifestyle, living on the beach and stuff. Well, you're already there, pal.
yeah, it's obviously I could not be living this good in America. You know, I probably still have to be working a job somewhere or have my own business somewhere.
Yeah.
Just because it costs so much more to live. It really, really, really does.
Oh, I mean, it's insane.
So I think I can go to McDonald's and get a quarter pounder with cheese, medium fry, and a medium Coke for about $3.
Wow.
I would guess it might be 5 or 6 in the States.
But you know, the funny part about that is though, so let's say the average Filipino will make a $4. They've spent almost a whole day's wage on a McDonald's hamburger, fries, and
Yeah, and that's why they probably maybe have never even eaten one. Yeah.
yeah, because that's like going to a 5-star restaurant or something, you know.
Yeah.
But you can actually probably get quality native food for less, I hope. You know, where
There is cheap food, and then of course if you go to a nice restaurant, they're gonna charge you more because they know the people going there are gonna have money, so they're gonna charge you the premium. But still, it's compared to an American high-end restaurant, still really cheap.
that's good to
Or if you
know.
got a resort, you got a swimming pool, and you got an ocean view, and that's priceless in itself, you know.
Well, yeah, the ambiance. Yeah.
Yeah. We've taken Melissa Jean, my daughter, to the one resort, and you can eat there, and you got the sunset, and they got a pool, and they got a little kiddie's pool. And we'll take her, and she'll go swimming, and one of us will be always watching, or whatever, maybe both. And, yeah, you can eat good food, and the people are nice, and yeah, and relax, outdoor. You know, you're in the shade at that point of time with a little bit of sunlight if you're looking at the sunset, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, real nice. And then, you know, and of course, as a single white male, it's almost, you're on YouTube now. It'll almost be considered like a paradise of sorts.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going to have no problem at all picking up women. I mean, they're just, you know, almost going to be dropping like flies to get your attention. So again, because they see, oh, you're rich.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went through that. My first year was crazy like that. So, and usually they were taking me, you know, they were after the money. And I'm so naive, I'm thinking, oh, they really love me.
Once that cash flow stops, see you later.
Yeah, well, and they, you know, the one was just, I don't know, I'll call her stupid just for the sake of it. You know, she could have asked me for anything and she would have got anything. But she was so worried that I'd say no that she had to come up with some scam, some incredible story that was not true. And yeah, I'll buy into it for a while, but you know, anyway, she got me good. She set me on my financial ruin in early 2015 after my mom had died. And she took everything. I did not have if I had a penny, I would not have had a penny to my name. She got it all. And then I had to go out, and then the American had to become the beggar. And I went out and borrowed 1,500 pesos, which is about $30, because I had 3 weeks to go before I get paid again, and I didn't have any money, nothing. And then I lived on a buy one burger, get one free, really cheap kind of burger. The burger is so skinny you can hardly barely see it.
Oh yeah.
And I lived on that the rest of that month just to survive. But I also figured out that I had been being scammed and all that good stuff, and so that set me back big time. And,
yeah, I've been taken a few times too, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and she's aware of it. You know, it almost cost her life. Oh, it really did. Rage is an emotion that I don't know how do you stop rage? You know, you got to stop from getting there, but once you're there, there ain't no stopping rage.
Nope.
I had my plan. And I'm like, Mel, that's not. I don't care. We're payback time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Fortunately, nothing happened, folks. She's alive today. I'm alive today. She didn't get hurt.
Mel, I'm gonna need proof of life on that one. No. A newspaper.
Her mom and I are real good friends.
Huh?
Her mom and I are real good friends, and her uncle is We're real good friends. So
Isn't that funny how that works out? I mean, I tell people that, you know, a lot of my exes, I am good friends with them. I'm
yeah,
better friends with them than when I was married or when I was dating them, because I include my girlfriends too in there. And there's one that I thoroughly detest, but I mean, other than that, you know, for the most part, there's no need keeping all that extra baggage in your emotions, you know.
yeah. My ex-wife, I maintain a huge distance from, but other than that, yeah, I'm even the one who ripped me off, I have no problem if I it's been a while since I've seen her, but if she's in McDonald's or Jollibee's with her boyfriend and they're eating, I'm gonna come down, grab a chair, and I'm gonna sit down with them. And he's not gonna do nothing about it. He'll go, okay, hi Mel. And I'm gonna talk or whatever, you know. I'm totally. Well, in fact, I did do a good thing for her even after this, and which she was not able to, you know, try to manipulate me on that. So, and I actually expected that she was trying to scam me again, but it ended up being legitimate. So,
well, that's good.
yeah, because it's like that to me. It's like that's what you got to do. I mean,
life is too short to. Yeah, life is too short otherwise.
And the world has enough hate in it without me adding to it.
Very true.
You know,
especially nowadays. Yeah.
And if I'd have killed her, well, I'd either ended up in jail myself for the rest of my life in a Philippine prison, which is not where you want to be.
And they don't let you leave until you pay the bill, right?
Yeah. Or I would have, you know, or I would have taken my own life. And actually, I was strongly considering taking my own life, but people always change their mind afterwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, but she came within probably within minutes. So, but it was averted, so that was cool. So I like how that worked out. And it took me a while to figure out what did she say? Because it's like something she said and it like totally diffused me. It just like all the heat and everything went right out of me. And I figured it out later, one time when she was at Jollibee's eating. It was just her voice. Just hearing her voice had that calming effect.
Yeah.
You know, so that's all it was. So that's good. And yeah, it's been a while. I've talked to her mom since then, and her uncle since then. They'll stop me if I'm walking by their house. But I haven't heard nothing. Anyway.
Well, that's good.
Which is good. But I hear from a lot of my exes. I don't have no problem staying in contact with them, and it's much easier now to say no than before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Before, oh, you need something? Yeah, okay, honey. How much you need this time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and the whole point of all those relationships that kind of you could call them bad, I've got good memories from every one of them.
Well, and the thing is, you know, you have to. It's not always all bad,
right?
And obviously, it didn't start out bad, so
right.
You're gonna have those.
Yeah.
In every situation.
So I focus on the good memories, the good times.
Mm-hmm.
Why think about the other when you can think about the good?
Well, because when you think about the good, it allows you to continue to pursue good in whatever businesses you're trying to do and everything else too. If you're full of rage all the time, then I really don't want to read your book. You know, you see what I mean? Or maybe I do if I'm feeling the same way. And I said, yeah, I can read that book. Might give me some ideas.
I don't think I would. I wouldn't have survived. It would have destroyed me. So it all worked out. Very, very thankful for that.
Well, I'm glad of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's helped me mature. It helped me to be able to be like, okay, Mel, don't be so gullible. You know, you got to test them. It don't hurt nothing. If they're telling you the truth, it ain't gonna hurt to test them, to ask for some more proof, to something to show it's legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing with my current partner is to this day, she's never asked me for anything. Never asked me for money. That's never been on the table. And so she was very, 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 very totally different, different category completely. And she was working her butt off because her mama died the month before I first saw her. she's just trying to survive and take care of her family and stuff. So, and it was kind of strange how we all worked out. That was not supposed to work out the way life was going for her and how life was going for me, and then life had a way of bringing us together anyway. So,
Well, I like how sometimes it works it out. I mean, in my current situation, I
yeah.
hope that works out too. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, we had some rough times. It was, a couple times I sometimes I just gotta have my privacy.
Mm-hmm.
I just like I'm like losing it, and I just need space, calm.
I think everybody fits in that category more than people realize. You know.
Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah. So there's twice I had her temporarily move out, so I could have my space.
yeah.
Yeah, and I promised her after the last one that that was before Melissa Jean was born, of course, but that if I need my space in the future, I'll get a room at the at a place. I'll be the one to take the time out. And,
Or you'll go to Mel's Island, right?
yeah, I'll go to Mel's Island, and I'll send you pics of that later. Yeah. So
Yeah, I gotta see that. I really do.
listen, I live in a fantasy world part of the time, but it's our life. Whatever you got to do to enjoy life, do it.
Well, I'm glad you touched on that because see, when I'm writing my books, that is my fantasy world.
Yeah, totally. And you're creating it, the whole thing. It's all yours. Yeah.
I
What
mean
was in your
that
mind now is on paper. It's in other people's minds that are reading that, and on it goes.
well, I mean, I've gotten good reviews from you, not so stellar or zero from others, but I figure it'll get out there at some point. And actually, the first review I ever got, I told you about that. It was a bad one, and that was when I had the smaller series where I had combined, 4 volumes into one, and
Mhm.
so it was 4, 3, 2, 3. For the number of 15 that I have, there were like 6 bigger books. Now, feasibility or in cost on paperback probably would have gotten gigantic because I would have had War and Peace size novels, that were going to cost you like $30 to buy for print cost, and
Yeah.
stuff because they were big. But you know, when they gave me a bad review on that, and they said obviously this wasn't ready for publication, blah 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 blah, whatever, 1 star, trash, etc. etc. I sold like 19 copies right after that, and I just responded and said, yes, this review was helpful because I had my the KNEP where you see what people don't realize if this part goes on the video is if I'm offering it to you for free and you're in a membership where you can avail yourself of that,
Mm-hmm.
I'll still get paid for the pages you flip. It doesn't matter. You can just thumb through it and I'll get paid. And so, the KNEP lending library, those page reads shot up too at the same time that I sold
Good.
17 volumes, and this was before I had paperback, so they were all ebooks, but
Right.
so I thought that was pretty good. And I don't know if you ever have, but I know I've given away some before. Did a giveaway for like a week trying to spur interest, on one, and then now you got to buy the rest or something, or each one. So it's just hard to say. And admittedly, the first 4 volumes of my book are pretty much at sea, and the adventures along the way. Think in a roundabout way, C.S. Lewis's 3rd volume, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, where most of it was them stopping at islands or something, and what have you. And so they were mainly at sea, in strange places and stuff. And no, I'm no C.S. Lewis, but but then I'm setting the foundation of the characters and everything that figure into that book later and how they got there. I don't think it's going to kill anybody if they skip ahead to 5 or 6 and read on. And then if they want to know how it all began, they can go backwards to read the first 4. That's how that happened or something, I mean, look at Star Wars. You couldn't ever figure out what George Lucas was doing because it started at the 4th, the 4th episode. And so he had to go back and put his prequels in and then his sequels.
Yeah.
So it's with a fantasy thing. I like to say it's easier to create, but if you don't keep track of what you created, then people are going, "Hey, how'd this work out?" And then I'm like, "Oh, you're right. Hold on." You know? But you see what I'm saying? So the truth is the
Yeah,
truth, but fantasy is whatever you make the truth.
right.
And so you got to watch it. And I still know there's probably errors somewhere in those 4,277 pages, because I'm like going, good grief, they're not that big. That's not that many pages as ebooks, because
Mhm.
once they condense that to a paperback, it doubles the size of that ebook, you know,
Right.
for the 6x9 versus the 8.5 by 11 format that they got uploaded as ebooks.
Yeah.
And
You
you've
know,
got experience with that. So
mhm. And you know, C.S. Lewis, you know, might have been a pretty good author, but he is no J. Lynn Brown.
that's that's classic.
It's the truth. That's the truth. There's only one of you, buddy.
Well, and you know why I had to use my first initial, my full middle name, my last name, is because Jeffrey Brown is very common. Well,
Mhm.
as luck would have it, somebody that was practically born on my birthday, about 8 years younger than me, um, had a popular book series. And
Mhm.
so to differentiate myself, and plus I always told people that Jalen Brown would be my name if I was an attorney. Uh, Jalen Brown for the defendant. I'm here with F. Lee Bailey and, you know, everybody else. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I figured, well, that's my mom gave me the middle name Lynn. I don't know why, but I thought, well, that really sounds good with J. Lynn Brown, though, you know. And so I made it like that just to differentiate myself, because if you type in Jeffrey Brown, all his stuff shows up and I'm nowhere to be found.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not even on the bottom of the bottom. I can't remember. Oh, somebody was, I think it was Cassie or somebody was talking about branding your first name or your names on on one of the blogs, right? And I said, well, I can't. There'll be 1,500 Google pages of famous Jeffrey Browns before you even get to the also rans like me,
Mhm.
because you know they're doctors, they're surgeons, whatever. I mean,
Right.
but it's a common name.
Have you ever done a book with your name, Jeffrey Brown?
I started writing these with the name Jeffrey Brown, and I went back and redid the first page, and then went back and resubmitted something into the copyright paperwork, which they strangely allowed me to do, just adding the pen name. I left it as Jeffrey Brown, but I added a pen name, and so now I use the pen name. And
Okay.
so anything that I upload on Amazon now, it just says first name J. Lynn,
Mhm.
and then Brown. You know, same person. Um, But then I remember something else you said earlier in this meeting, that you know, something suddenly becomes valuable if something else does. And so I've
Mhm.
got a few other books out there that are just kind of whimsical or whatever, and you know that because you've looked at a few
Right.
of them. Um, but I'm thinking to myself, you know, when Stephen King wrote as Richard Bachman, they weren't popular. Um, he didn't hit it big, I think, until Carrie, and he'd already been refused like 1,000 times by all kinds of publishers. And then one publisher says, well, we'll take a shot. And it was like one of his biggest bestsellers. Well, now
Mhm.
Richard Bachman books, you're paying top dollar because that's Stephen King, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so, and then I think even, and I haven't really even looked at them, but I know some of the titles or something, but I think even some of those have been adapted for a movie or something, you know, just something that nobody would have paid any mind to,
Right.
you know? So I think Mel Waller would be a good name for, you know, a best-selling author. But what would be your pen name if you opted for something else? Saint what?
Mhm.
Just,
Mhm.
what would you opt for?
Right. Right.
Put you on the
Yeah,
spot.
I was just wondering, you know, if you'd done a book, Jeffrey Brown, and it actually took off because people mistook you for the other Jeffrey Brown, and they were buying your book.
I don't know if I left it. I might have left them on there for about a year and a half, and they weren't taken off.
Really
And then
didn't.
I thought,
Okay.
but see, then I thought, well, maybe you know, when I put this different name on there, they'll take off. Well, not really. So, you know, and then the only thing I didn't try was Stephen King. No, but anyway, so, but you get the idea. And that's a good question. I mean, my thoughts would have been, ooh, somebody's already got the success train going. So let me, but if you've ever got some idle bored time, then just go online and see how many Jeffrey Browns there are. And there's a journalist in the Dallas, from my hometown, in the Dallas Times Herald, that's Jeffrey Brown. There's surgeons, there's psychiatrists. It's just, it runs the gamut. It's crazy. And a lot of them have the same middle initial too.
I know of eight Melvin Wallers in the United States.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah.
On a blog post or maybe on the phone, but I remember you saying that because you had looked it up with the same. What's your middle name? What's your middle initial?
Oh, middle name's Halfred, so that's a little more unique.
So, but yeah, but so basically though, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not Lynn, but so my thing is so did they have the same middle initial as you? The 8 of them.
Well, the one guy was from Los Angeles. So you were in the military, so he was dark green.
Yeah.
Because there I was doing selling magazines when I was out in Denver, Colorado. You go in, you call people, you grab a phone book, and so they recognized the name Mel Waller, or I might have been saying Melvin Waller at the time, but my accent, being from Wisconsin or whatever, she's like, no, who is this? You know, it's like, and then anyway, yeah. So, not quite, we're not twin brothers. We don't look alike, yeah. So that was cool though, you know, because that actually probably meant. So I did some research on that, what the possibilities might be, and what was this? Remember Kunta Kinte?
Yep. Roots.
Alex
Haley. Yep.
Yes.
And he says your name is Toby. That was I think that was
those original families. They didn't put the real name in the Roots series, and the real name was Waller. And the slaves took the name Waller. So it was possible this guy in Los Angeles somehow, you know, where's my camera here? Somehow, you know, was connected to that connection for Waller. You know, because names come from somewhere. Anyway, so I thought that was really interesting. And the rest of them, I never ever contacted any of them. I thought if I could, you know what you should do then? I wanted more Melvin Wallers. Then let's have a Melvin Waller group and we'll just all talk to each other.
Oh yeah, I've seen stuff like that before where it's like, yeah, this is the Paul Jones website. If your name's Paul Jones, you're an automatic member of our group. And blah blah blah. Yeah,
then
so
you can
I
talk
understand.
To yourself and not be crazy.
Yeah. Well, so what do you spend every day? I talk to myself all night. I blog to myself, but they're all Mel Wallers. You know, that would make me think of you being Adam Sandler on Little Nicky, where there's all the little Adam Sandler spiders with the same face and they're running around before they get put back together. That's what I'm envisioning my head with your face. And there's all these Mel Waller spiders all talking to each other on this website. But Waller, I mean, you say you're part Norwegian, so what would have your people that came over or were you first people in the United States or something? What would the name be? I mean, Waller, what country origin is Waller? I had a Sergeant Waller. No, I had a Sergeant Wall. I had a Miss Waller that taught me at school, probably in 3rd grade in Texas. I don't remember her first name. I know that she was hot, but then when you're in 3rd grade, you think every woman's hot, you know. But so she might not have been. But, you know, I do remember the name Waller. Catherine Waller, I think her name was, honestly. Wow. Can't remember to pay a bill, but I can suddenly remember that.
Well, you still got that brain cell up there.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've killed a few of them, let me tell you. Killed the important ones and then have all this other debris floating around up here. But, I mean, so Waller, I mean, you didn't have like a grandfather. Yeah.
That Waller actually transitioned when they came over to America.
Hmm.
So in Norway, it was like Waller. They
Oh,
really
with
didn't
an
use,
H.
was a V.
Oh, V.
VAHLER.
Oh, so it was
Yeah,
baller with a
Waller.
pronounced like a V too.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
okay. So this was the
they didn't really use
Americanized
the
version.
W's so much. They used V's. See, so
I got
Waller.
you. That makes sense. So
But it still meant like wall. And so there's a possibility that whoever Waller was at some point, he built walls. Maybe he built stone walls.
oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
they took names from their profession a lot of times.
Or you remember like the name Johnson, Johnson,
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah. Really simple, really basic. And but they were, they were more of a, farming, for farming kind of people and stuff. But maybe somebody did some, because we did have a relative who went to Norway, tracked down a lot of the ancestry and stuff over there,
Yeah.
and the Wallers had worked for a Peterson, so Peterson also can come in our name somewhere back there. Yeah, it's really, how people just grab names, change names, and then yeah, they came to the States and maybe decided Waller was more American or who knows what.
Well, you've heard like the name Peterson, it'll have two S's in there or something because it might have been Swedish or something at one time or
Yeah,
something.
and
But
this
then they take
Peterson had a D instead of a T, Peterson instead of Peterson. Yeah.
okay, and then they also take like so the American versions like take out one of the S's for starters, so it's Peterson.
Yeah. So
It's weird how names have evolved, honestly. But I do, I know somebody with the last name Brickhouse, so I mean, so the study of names would be a whole nother profession because there's so many variations throughout history and
there's different ways people use them. A middle name over here. So my partner's name is Rowena Rosales Benting. So Benting, of course, is her father's name, but Rosales, that's her mother's maiden name. The mother's maiden name goes in the middle. So they don't choose a middle name. It becomes what the family. It's all family.
oh, I
name.
got you.
Yeah.
So that's why she has that name. It's just the double surnames stuck together,
Yeah. Well, on her.
That's weird. So she doesn't have a middle name per se, other than that's her mother's name that
Right.
got carried
Yeah,
over.
So all of her siblings have Rosales then for their middle name. See?
Well, that's
So,
your mess up if y'all decided y'all wanted to name the different daughters the same first name. Well, wouldn't it?
well, I had that
I
trouble
kid
with.
you not. I know somebody that did that. So it's like, is this Carol 1 or 2? Yeah, I don't know. How do you differentiate?
I had that trouble in my first marriage. We picked out my oldest daughter was going to be Melanie Joy, middle name Waller. Well, of course, I'm not at the hospital when my then wife is doing the birth certificate, the name. No, she changed. She went. So Melanie Joy became the whole first name, 2 words, first name. Ramos became the middle name because that was her father's name, and then her father's name becomes the middle name, for her, her children. Anyway.
So what's her full first name then?
So it's Melanie Joy Ramos Waller. So the second
Melanie
one,
Joy is her first name?
Yes. Yeah. And then everybody calls her Mel. That confuses me when they get chatting. And then the second one was supposed to be Angelica Marie Waller. And that became Angelica Marie Ramos Waller. And that's a whole lot to write out, and your paperwork and
starts making you think of those Spanish names that's like Antonio Jose Cuatro Cortez, de Bienvenidos, and all this, and it's like the Emperor of Spain's name or something,
So
or
we
the
got
Emperor
to
of Mexico.
we got to the third one then, and then we finally got Ramos out of there. Alexandra. Did we do it her first name? No, Alexandra. Middle name Jean, Jeane, 1 N. That's my mother's middle name, so that's why
I got you.
And then Waller, yeah. And then You know, I almost got to look now at the birth certificate, even though what our daughter ended up becoming there. Oh, okay. So it's kind of like my other daughters, but yeah. So her first name is 2 words, Melissa Jean. And then her middle name is Benting, which is my wife's father's name, and then Waller is the last name. Whew.
Wow.
But we got the Waller in there, and then of course we got me as the father. So that saves a lot of hassle when we do go to the embassy to get her American.
Well, yeah, that is a good thing. I remember you talking to me about that.
Yeah,
because then they're kind of going, say what? What are you trying to do?
Sometimes they require
somebody?
DNA sometimes, you know, and they require
yep.
pictures. But we've been together now so long that, well, I won't say that won't be a problem, because when I first got married the first time, I thought I'd have no problem getting a fiance visa for my fiance in the Philippines, and I got turned down cold, and they would not give me any, just Americans, they wouldn't give me any help, any information whatsoever. All they would say is, you can appeal. Oh, that costs a lot of money, and I don't even know what I did wrong to begin with.
See, that's automatic for Americans. You know that. You're going to be denied immediately no matter what it is, because you can appeal.
I found out what it was later. So anyway, but it didn't help at the time. Then I decided, well, screw it. I'm gonna take a trip to the Philippines and see. We'll get married there. And I got married there, and then it took 11 months for her to get processed and brought over to the United States. So anyway,
wow,
there's always a way around things.
Was that when you were? When you were in the Corps, or?
It was after I got out.
Just right after, though, or?
Yeah, I got out in March of '88, and then I came back to the States in mid-April of '88 because I took my 6-week vacation in Spain while I was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And then in October, she wrote me, and then finally accepted my proposal from a few years ago.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so then I'm like, oh, do I really want to get married now? I don't have to accept this. Then I thought about it, and anyway, made the decision to go ahead. So
oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, crazy world. Like I said, that one sponsored child in 1983, and everything to do with the Philippines, and my children of, you know, both marriages and both my wives, all related to one sponsored child. You know, one little act of charity, and wow, changed my whole world.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How are you doing? You got anything scheduled you got to be running off to do, or you want to wrap her up, or?
No, I'm just relaxing.
Oh, okay. I got my water.
I mean, I might need to walk around so we can always wrap up this meeting, and I can call you on that number. I still want to chat.
Okay.
Or is this going to be like your saga video post on? This is going to be the one that drives your traffic, maybe. You know, with the ramblings of Jeff and Mel, or Mel and Jeff. You know.
Okay.
I mean, I would do, you know, I don't know what your initial thing is with it and everything, but I would do, for starters, I would do the whole shebang, just load it up, uncut, like Mel.
I didn't hear anything that I wouldn't have on there, so I'm fine.
Yeah, because I think it's been all right. I think it's flowed well. We haven't really beaten you and Roy's record though yet, have we?
I don't know. We're a good 3 hours here. I don't know what his was. I guess
it was 3 hours and something, but I'm trying to wonder. I don't want to be within having the record and then
not have it
for want of getting up, because I only had a minute and a half left or something. But I'm trying to. Are you looking to see what that was? On I thought it was like 3 hours and 20 minutes or something.
3 hours, 20 minutes, 42 seconds.
Where are we at?
That's a good question. Let me see if it'll tell me here on Zoom.
I just see weird bars at the bottom, so I can't.
says it's recording, but it's not. But I know it was pretty close to midnight when we.
See, it was pretty close for me. It was like almost at 11 o'clock. So that would put us at 3 hours, 11 minutes. Here's it's 2:11 p.m. here.
So we could go till 2:30 your time or 2:35, and we should be past him.
I think we'll be all right. Yeah.
That's fine with me.
But then you'll just one up me with somebody else, and then they'll be like, "What?" And then I've got to like be a recurring guest or something. Wait a minute.
I think
You have any other? Have you scheduled any other ones with anybody for your channel?
No, I wanted you, and then and then Roy ended up coming in ahead of time because you were frozen out. And but it's a good start, and then people can see what I've done, and then they can decide if they want to or not. I'm not even
Well,
sure
that's what LD Sewell did with me on his little. He's got a section on his website that I forget the name of it, but it was outside professions from WA or something to that effect. And with that, he had already sent me a pre-thing of the interview questions to ask. Now that's all good. That's all good to go. But the thing is invariably, no matter what you do, and I think that interview is probably about 30 minutes, but invariably, no matter what you do, it gets off track, even though I had everything ready to go, because then he'd insert something and then that would take me somewhere else and all that. But I think he's had 4 or 5 videos after that from people. And then I was on video with Magic Brad on the Magic Brad show up in Minneapolis. But it was interesting because with LD Sewell, I was the first one. That was like premiere. And I don't know if you do your little storyboards and stuff. I don't do an intro or anything on any of my videos, but he even had like, it looked like a real talk show or something. I thought that was kind of cool. So I had to watch that.
Yeah, it's always good to get into all that, but I know I'm just starting out. So
the beauty part is, though, you're getting the content, see, but then you can always, with the magic of video and everything else, you can always change things up and stuff too.
You could go back and edit the whole thing, and you could break it up into smaller parts even. Yeah, you could do a lot with it.
Oh yeah, conceivably you could turn both me and Roy's interviews into much smaller parts if there's certain segments where you were talking about it. As you've got that little line stream going down. So we're talking about that little bit about treasure hunting and all that kind of stuff. That might be 5, 10, 15 minutes right there. And then it's like Mel Waller with Jeff Brown on treasure hunting, something like that. I mean, so you've
going for the
probably
goal.
out of two videos, if you think about it, hell, out of 2 videos, you probably got 12 to 15, 5 and 10 minute videos right off the bat. And this is your work time, so we're chatting, but we're learning a lot about things about each other and everything else, and things that will be of mutual interest to other people. But so they don't necessarily have to sit through a matinee performance and stuff. They can just look at the titles and go, well, I wonder what they have to say about that. Well, I wonder and so you'll have some that'll have tons of views. And you'll have some if we weren't acting so great or whatever that maybe have nothing, or I want to see what they look like. I mean, I clicked on yours because I said I didn't even know he did this, and I also wanted to hear. I already had heard what you heard sounded like because I'd watched one of your other videos, but I wanted to hear what Roy sounded like. And I always try to watch somebody's video just to see what they sound like, especially if we're blogging, and it's interesting.
Yeah, well, at least I do. You put a sound to somebody's voice and you never heard them talk, and that's where when I think it was LD Sewell's video. That was the first time I got to hear you talk, I think.
And you thought, listen to that country bumpkin that even after living in Kansas for 35
years, not match.
He still sounds like he's from Texas.
And now I can't even remember what that voice was, because now you sound perfectly natural. It's just now it's normal,
Well, let me ask you a question. I don't know about you, but I've always thought that the moment you hear your own voice, it sounds completely different from how everybody else hears it, because I'm like, I'll listen to the old cassette recordings of me, and I'm like, who is that? And they're like,
Yeah.
it's you. And I said,
Yeah.
it sounds horrible. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I think my voice sounds horrible when I'm listening to it on a recording or watching it. I mean,
I wouldn't call it
like,
horrible.
well,
It's
but
definitely different. How we hear ourselves now talking, yeah, if I listen on the
I
cassette
don't
tape, that sounds
understand why that is. I mean, that's so this is a segment for another video for you, by the way.
well, it's getting filtered with whatever here, you know.
Well, but I mean, so as we hear ourselves is not how other people hear us. Hear us.
Well, let's say probably because we got sound coming out, but we probably got sound from inside our mouth that's kind of going up the back of the head. Who knows? I don't know. But
Well, yeah, almost like if you're underwater or something, and you know you're.
yeah, so we're kind of catching that whatever that distorts it, and of course the brain's going to take it and it's going to make some sense of it, and you know, it's just like they say, you know, when we look, we're actually seeing the world upside down, but the brain adjusts how the eyes.
Oh yeah, the reverse thing.
Yeah, that's like wow.
Where it turns it over.
God messed up there. Yeah, there's our proof.
God might have messed up there, but he put in that fix. He you know, he sent it
he
out.
He shouldn't have needed the fix.
He sent it. Well, he sent it out like Microsoft will do. Like, oh wait a minute, there's a patch for that thing that you know didn't come out quite right. Yeah. No, I mean it's interesting how all that works. It's also interesting to me. Like, I'm looking at me up there and everything I'm reading looks like it's going forward on my backdrop, like K-State, all that. But yet, sometimes it'll come up on a video where you can see two sides of the film or something, even though this is digital. But and have you ever? Okay, let's just go with the video because I don't really know how the digital part works. But have you ever seen like a film strip, and you can watch the back side of it as it's going across if it's a silent one, and everything will be reversed. And the only way you know it is if you see letters and stuff that are also reversed, you know, like a truck passes by with the sign on it or something. Because otherwise, that's the only reason you know that it's a reverse exposure, you know, for each frame by frame. And conversely, well, I think in a way it's got to be like that digital in some way because like when I'll do an image of something I use a lot, like the camel, for instance, you know, but I want him to face another way, the way I have an arrow you hit and it flips him over. But it looks totally different in a way because your eyes are tricked now. But, you know, and so I've been learning that, like, if I took a picture of you right now and you're sitting on that side, when I flip you over, I'm going to see the shadow on the other part of your face. You see what I mean? I don't know how they do that, where yeah, it's almost like they're making mugshots easier now if they do it that way and stuff like that. You don't need to flip to the side. We're gonna do that for you. And have you ever seen, you know, all of our faces have two different sides to them, you know, but when you look at our face as a whole, it looks fine. I've seen them take the same side of a person's face and put it with the same side of a person's face, and then you look at them and you're like, what in the heck? I don't know how they do it, but it's like your right side of your face is now your right and your left side. Does that make any sense? I mean, you've seen it, and it's just something doesn't look quite right on there.
Yeah.
Made me think of when I did one of my military buzz cuts to myself. I usually just have people trim it up, but Monica's been arguing with me and didn't want to do it on this time, but I'll do my own buzz cut and stuff. But I got overzealous one year and I cut like my mustache and everything off. Well, I accidentally took my eyebrows too. So there wasn't like anything left. And so when I'm looking at the mirror after that, I'm trying to figure out what was missing. And it dawned on me after a while, but you know what I mean? Because you're still laughing at yourself like when you do your buzz cut at first, and then I'll feel like this the whole time going, where'd it go? What's up? Yeah. You know, and all this. This is the easiest cut for me. I don't have to pay a lot. I can do it for free with my clippers, but I also don't have to be in a certain trend with people. And believe it or not, you see all those actors that cut all their hair. And so therefore I'm in vogue already, and I did it naturally and didn't even have to, you know, pay anybody. I don't have to have a certain style. I got rid of my goatee because I had one for the longest, and I just decided to shave it all off. Now I'm lazy, so I let my stuff grow back, and then it's murder trying to shave it off again. But you know, it's like the lawn. If you shave every day, it's going to be growing faster than anything. So I try to,
Mm,
well, you know, that's why I try to avoid mowing the lawn so quick, because hell, dandelions will be up within 2 or 3 hours and they'll already be back at height, you know. And but the more you mow, the more you have to mow. Well, the more you shave, the more you
yeah.
have to shave. So even in the military, oh, when I was first there and I was real young, I was kind of like, I'll do the high and tight, and you know how they coif it and take your military hat off, and you got this full head of hair where you can look like a civilian going there. Well, I finally just decided to look like I'm either the newbie or the one that's a hardcore veteran that, you know, doesn't give a crap what his hair looks like and stuff, and you're not going to say anything either. But you know, I finally just said it's easier to do it. Um, and even in the wintertime, I just wear, I don't know if y'all had them, but we had those pile caps, what they called them, the little hat that had the folds that wrapped around the front, you know, and
Mm,
Velcroed, camouflage, covered your ears, the top of your head, pretty much this much of your face was there. And then you had the Velcro that was at the bottom with the green felt on the inside. I mean, I know the Marine Corps
mm.
probably had top notch stuff. We're just the ones that hold the land. You know, y'all are the ones that actually have to go take them or take it, you know, and then like you said one time, and retake it. It's not because, you know, it's because the politicians you had to retake it. We still would have been there. It's because of the politicians a lot of time that y'all had to go take it in the first place,
Yeah.
you know. But anyway, I mean, so there's another. I know you're making little video marks on where to cut, and oh, there's a separate video. There's a separate video. That'll be a good challenge for you right there. How many of them little on the editors? How many of those little cut things you'll have to put in to see how many videos you could get out of that? You know, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. As soon as I get my staff, I'll get right on that.
Your staff? Well,
Yeah, when
yeah,
I
my
hire a staff, yeah, then they can do all this extra.
you just need some blog
They-
dogs or the cat. You know, they usually do most of my work. Maybe that's why it's so sloppy. Come to think of it, because I really started believing that, and I'm like, yeah, y'all will get it done. See ya. And then I'm like, why aren't these blog posts answered? What the hell? You know? And there, I started out when I was using them, um, even before TigTig came on board. I started out with just a certain picture shadow I'd have. So if you remember my real early work, it would be like, and Shadow agrees, and here's that same picture of him, you know, kind of a stoic expression or something, or like an editorial. If you've ever seen the
Mhm.
editorial, and Mel Waller's editorial is going to have that same photo on his byline, you know, because that's what people are used to seeing. Well, Shadow had his own little editorial going on type thing, you know, and then I'd start putting funny hats on him and stuff, and then I can't even take credit for their helmets or anything, because that was Mark Stewart from Great Britain. Um, he he used to change his profile picture almost every day, and one day I thought it was funny because he was suddenly Mark Rick from Top Gun, not Maverick, but Mark Rick. And you know, he was perfect in the helmet and the aircraft and everything. I said, I like that. Well, next thing you know, he throws me one, and he put Nice Man on there instead of Iceman. And so then I tried to design something for one of the dogs, you know, and he kind of took it upon himself to just lift out both of their photos, and then he put them in those World War I or II flying ace helmets, you know, and then put me in an outfit in between them. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. But he did that for a living. He was a graphic artist, you know. The reason he's not with the platform right now when he bade his farewell, oh, he'll still be listed there. He's just not active anymore, you know. But because that company that he detested while he was working and wanted to make wealthy affiliate work, suddenly by some twist of fate became his company. And so he's like, well, so, you know, I guess the boss that detested him or something gave him a deal he couldn't refuse, or something, or
Oh,
you know, something during the pandemic. And so there you go. And he's got his own thing. I don't blame him. I mean, he can make bank off that. I mean, he did a lot of the work. But yeah, he's the one that, and then I just started messing with Paint 3D is what I use most of the time. I hated it at first, and I still hate it to an extent, because when I was first doing my book covers, I did hand-drawn book covers. I didn't use Cover Creator or anything. Hand-drawn letters look pretty crude, though, too. You got to do a lot of work to make them look good. I mean, I have seen a few covers where they looked all right. I did print out all my covers that I hand drew. It burned up through a cartridge of printer ink in about like half a day or half an hour, you know, because there was so much color in it. And the old paint, you really couldn't make those tones change too much. It was pretty much, that's what you get, you know. So you couldn't really mesh them very well. You tried to blend them, it just covered the old color. So Paint 3D had a leg up on that. What I don't like about Paint 3D is, you know, and if you've ever used Microsoft Paint, it has a little pencil that goes in your hand. It's got a point on it. So you can sit there, wherever you put that pencil, you know that's where it's going to draw. Oddly, I write left-handed, but I use my mouse right-handed, so I can guide that pencil real good right-handed. Why the heck I can't use a pencil with my right hand, I have no idea. But Microsoft Paint or 3D took that pencil away. Now there's just a cross there. Getting that crosshair on anything and trying to keep it at the exact spot is a nightmare, trying to drag it in a straight line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But the pencil, when you saw the pencil, I don't know if it's a trick of the mind or something, but the pencil, you can just drag that across because it's at an angle. And it's just like so whatever inane idiot did that, you can do so much more with Paint 3D, but actually trying to draw something or write a letter or anything is a nightmare, because I can't focus on the middle of that plus sign, right on the dot there. You just can't keep it there. Have we used our time? Oh, we're getting there. I'm just rambling, but you know what? Who knows? It might be a bestseller video for both of us.
Oh, that reminds me. So when we get done, if there's, I'm not putting any links of mine under this video in the description on YouTube. So let me know. Send your links, whatever you want me to. You know, if you got a website, if you want to get social media, whatever, you want people to have your email, whatever you want people to have or see, or let me know, and I'll put it there. So like, oh, okay, then they can, if they want to follow up and check you out some more, or even just some of your links to your books on Amazon.
Oh, I can see, yeah, because I'm not sure how I would tailor a link per se to me, unless it's one of my websites. But my websites are basically, they're sort of like, unfortunately, okay, everybody, my websites, I have like 6 or 7 of them. I obviously don't do very much with them, so they're like a town in the 50s for Gunsmoke, where they've got storefronts and then there's really nothing there yet, you know. That they're holding space. They are a website. They might. I actually got bot comments on one of them that I just deleted, but you know. So yeah, I would want to do the Amazon book page.
Yeah.
And then I'll need to, or the author page, I mean, but then because I know how to do it, I just go up there, I'm very non-tech savvy. I figure out most of what I have to do myself. But it takes a long way. I go the long way around to do it, you know, but I feel like I learn it better that way, if that makes any sense at all. But then people look at me and go, why'd you do it the hard way? I said, well, I don't know. Because I didn't want to listen to you, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I appreciate that. But that would be the one I'd want to be on there, because I don't know how much social. I know you do probably a good bit of social media. I really don't like getting in there. I got a Facebook page. I'm holding a 44 Magnum with my "You Feel Lucky" look on it. You know, I don't know if you ever looked at it, but and then I have a Facebook business page in there that where I joined one of LD Sewell's little groups there, but I really haven't gone any much than saying hi once or twice. You know, Facebook, I really don't care for a lot of the idiocy that goes on there. Pinterest, I shy away from right now, because every time it seems like somebody's doing real good, they get suspended for some unknown reason.
Yeah.
um, Twitter, I don't even need to say anything about that. You know, when you got somebody that looks like Rasputin that runs it and censors everybody, I don't want to hear anything about them either.
Are you in Build Your Own Business Empire with LD Sewell?
That might be it. Yes.
Okay, I'm in there too, but
Did he
I
remove
posted,
me?
I don't know. I posted in the beginning, but nobody else is picking up on the conversation, and then some people are like promoting themselves. It's already like not really going anywhere. But that's the problem with small groups, and it's hard to get them going.
Oh, so you're looking at the Facebook one on then, yeah.
Yeah, Facebook.
Okay,
Build Your Own
yeah.
Business Empire.
Because that ties in with his website, and I remember he had a link to our interview that I did with him, and I can't remember who his second one was, and I don't know if he got past a second or third one, and then that was it. But it's almost like I always make sure I leave a comment on his because he's got some well thought out posts, and so I'll read them and answer them. And some people are just like, "Nice post," you know, or something. I'm like, "You didn't even read it, did you?"
Mm-hmm.
I've been guilty of that too on certain ones, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
But LD knows his stuff because he's done the real estate game.
Mm-hmm.
He's really into the trucking management and safety. He's paid his dues. I mean, he's had a few of those times when he was younger that was, you know, he figured the mess out, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's really interesting too. But yeah, that's what the site is. So it's not really being fleshed out or anything, is it? It's
Yeah, it's just the way it goes.
well, I think that quite honestly, and this is my opinion, and people could disagree with me on it, but I'm thinking that a lot of this stuff just gets saturated. Books, everything, it all gets saturated. There's only finite amount of people that are going to do certain things, and then you know you get one big successful person, and we're all human, so we do the same thing. We all dive in. Well, the more you dive in, the less water's in the pool. You know, pretty soon y'all are all sitting there bone dry because the water's all gone from the pool, you know. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so I that's why I spread myself out, because I still think there's enough for people to make money on. But there's the lucky few or the skilled few that can get massive money out of it. But the rest are just kind of, you know, fishing for scraps. So I want to take all my scraps from all my different things and put them together to make my bundle. And at the same time, if Google does one of their dreaded, you know, algorithm changes that tanks everything you just worked for the last 6 months, and you're back to square one, at least I can say, oh, well, at least this, and this are still doing good. The old eggs in one basket premise. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Sage advice then, real sage advice now. Well, and Amazon, I can't remember if it was you or who I was talking to. Yeah, I think Kindle still does good. I'm thinking that I think this was you that, you know, said at some point they'll probably charge, sure, because you know that's Jeff Bezos. But just how they did the affiliate marketers for Amazon was wrong. I mean, it's not even worth promoting anything in my book, you know, going through all that rigmarole, and then you sell something that's $25 and you might get 10 cents or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just, you know, you should be thanking the hand that got you to where you are versus punishing them because you're greedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that you know, I'm not putting all the bank in my books either. You know, that's a neat aside that is my passion. So it'd be great if it was making money. If it doesn't, well, still there, and I'm still gonna write. You know, because I enjoy it.
Right.
Just like you enjoy what you do, but there's different things that you'll look at as different pursuits too. Yep. Because you know you want to see what something's about. Mm-hmm. And then you'll look into it, and then you'll I usually read your post because I wanted to see what you thought about it. And you're like, oh, I'm backtracking for a minute because I'm not sure I like this. And I'm like, well, good, because to me, that's a review of what you've actually done to look at. So I just think there's a lot of good things with affiliate marketing. There's a lot of members that have done really well with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's some of them that are naturals. There's some of them that fell into something that they ran with. You know, there's a differentiation there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's others that haven't made any money in a while, myself included. I mean, I got 6 referrals. 2 of them are daughters that I knew weren't going to join, but they, you know, made me a buck. And then, and they could also join at any time they wanted to. But then there's others that I know they had to come from the Wealthy Affiliate blog post, but they've got strange names. They never upload an image, and they never upload a bio. And I almost feel like they're bots or something. You know what I mean? Because didn't I just contact you or something? Because, you know, I forgot that I actually had automated responses. I'm like, well, I already contacted that person. I said, oh, this is a different person, but they never upload the picture either.
Mm-hmm.
At least upload the picture if you're actually trying it out. It could be somebody just coming in there under just, and the names are gibberish. It could be somebody doing that simply to use Jaxie for free for 7 times or something. And they just came in under me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just really, is that thing in the background, is that like a rooster or is that your kid?
It's a rooster.
Okay, because I thought roosters only crowed, you know, at
No, that one's closer. That one that just went there.
huh?
The one that just roosted there is like probably 30 feet from me.
Well, see, I heard like I heard it like early, and I thought it almost sounds like a rooster. But now that we're at the end, I'll be asking you. You can cut it off if you don't want to. But I thought that's kind of cool. But I thought they only did that in the morning. They're not supposed to do it all night.
They can't tell time here.
Oh, really? Because you know we're yeah, well, you know, aren't you familiar with that? Do you do some farm time? They normally didn't make any noise until morning.
Yeah, they're going, and then one goes, then the neighbors will go, then the neighbors will go.
Also,
and
I'm
then
not just hearing that one. Do y'all have one too?
No,
You're like,
no.
no, I don't need one. I heard they're pretty mean too, those roosters.
That's what they're for. They're for cockfighting. Oh, it froze up on me, Jeff. Oh,
Uh-oh, it says your microphone. Your
okay.
phone's changed to Microsoft Logitech. Are we done?
No, I didn't touch anything. You froze for a while. Now I see.
Oh.
I can hear you.
I think I was messing with my little plug-in on my thing here, and that's probably what happened. Whoops.
No, we're still live. We're
Still
recording.
can't see me though, can you?
No, I cannot see you. I can hear you. And it says Jeffrey Brown in his space.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what happened. I hope my camera didn't go kaput.
Might be a way to join again.
Hold on, I'm gonna just unplug it and plug it back in. You think that'll work?
Don't hurt to try.
Well, folks,
Yes.
I was gonna say, folks, if this doesn't work, it's been nice talking to everybody.
Okay.
Because I just bumped it, and then I thought, what'd you do?
There's a red line to your video camera. You know where it says your name on the right side. It's got my name, and and I see our microphones are bouncing up and down as we talk.
Okay, hang on. I'm gonna try to go. I'm not gonna unplug it yet. I'm gonna go to my Windows thing, and I'm gonna hit camera. Ah, see me?
No, not yet.
Hold on.
Might take a minute or so too. You know, it's hard to say being.
Well, it's looking at me with camera now.
Not to start, but it's still showing the red line to your camera.
Okay, hold on.
Here.
Show advanced controls, framing grid, photos, time lapse when timer's on, video. Well, my camera is connected, looking at me like, so there's something else I have to do. I'm pretty sure. This is a learning experience.
I'm going to click more here just to see if there's something I'm supposed to do.
Well, I'm trying to It's probably something that I have to rejoin the meeting or something, but you can hear
Okay,
me, right?
I'm going to click and go ask to start video. So I just clicked ask to start video for you. It might pop up on your screen and give you a place to click or something.
Well, see, right now I can see part of you, but I've got a square that is my camera, because my camera my picture sits up at the top, and I see your face the entire time, and mine sits up at the top. You know, now mine's in the center where you're at, covering you.
Okay.
Does that make sense? See, I didn't question it because I'm up at a little thing at the top above you, and that's how it was whenever I was with LD too.
Okay.
I think Brad and I were side by side for some reason.
Yeah, you and I were side by side too.
Oh, really?
I don't see your face. Yeah.
It's probably, honestly, it's probably my own ancient technology, because I couldn't tell you what year this Logitech is.
Yeah.
I want to invest in some better equipment, but I thought that this meeting went a lot better than I expected. I figured it might have been bloopers or something with the camera, you know. I'm gonna tell you the truth about my cameras, right? Remember the auctions? The host has asked you to start your video. Okay, here we go. Duh.
Ta-da! I see you.
Oh, I can't see me right now, but that's okay.
Well, it'll probably take a few seconds to kick in. I can see you. I can see me. I can hear you.
It says get on the guest list. Mondays 2 p.m. Tuesdays 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. Thursdays 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. Oh wow, we're gonna have like the Mel Waller show. Ooh, you could do that, you know.
Yeah, on Zoom. Yeah, you could do a live with. Oh my God, I was on the Tony Robbins one, and they could see like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that were participating.
Can you imagine how hard that would be, though? It's like a bunch of it's like a large version of Hollywood Squares.
Yeah.
You know where, but remember, old Nipsey Russell would look down at somebody and go, "What you talking about?" Remember that? Okay, hold on. So you can see me, right? Well, that's good enough for me because you're the one recording.
We're all good.
So basically, though, no, the story on my cameras and stuff and everything, because I got like 6 or 7 of them, right? The one I really want to use, I'm not sure I have the right model number, is a Microsoft 3000 or something. It's got a letter in front of it or something, right? Great camera, okay? Great camera. Problem is Windows 10 doesn't support it. So I was, and see, I got all these at auctions. They were like in junk boxes. I have like 5 or 6 Logitechs. I have all these different ones, and I said, well, I wonder if these will work, because I really don't want to spend the money on something if I'm not sure I'm going to like it, you know? And so, but the one I really want that has the best stance and everything, there were some people from India, some tech gurus and stuff, and they had this big workaround code that you could put in your computer, and you know, the Microsoft, the camera in question would work. And I'm thinking, no, I'm liable to crash my computer is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna buy one. It's in somewhere in this year's budget. I just don't know when. Because I actually like face-to-face conversation and stuff and everything, and so I think it's really pretty cool. I do like the contact us thing on the Zoom sheet here with the WordPress IN, which is probably Instagram, I guess. Twitter. I don't know what the play button is in the middle. What logo that's for? I wondered. Nope. Nope. Hold on. Hold on.
Probably know us for our meetings. Here's a few things you might not know.
Get rid of that. Okay. Are you still there?
Yep.
Did you hear that other thing I brought up? Oh, that's weird that I can even do that too. It's a learning curve for me. Like I said, I'm kind of like you. We're spread out in a lot of different things, you know. You know why I do that? Because people are always saying dedicate, take a break and relax and get your mindset back and all this. All I do is shift to a different task because it's new to me again.
Right,
then
breaks it up.
Yeah.
Breaks
And
it
then
up, it's fresh.
it's fresh, but it's still something constructive. Which is important to me. And so that's what I like about the technology and stuff. I've got to actually take some images and send to you at some point when I find them of my actual painted covers before I just refused to use Cover Creator. I wasn't going to do it, and I guess what we were talking about was when you were saying, well, you could market your books on a WooCommerce site or something and sell them yourself. Well, I'm not sure how I wouldn't be able to do the paperbacks unless I just bought them. And, you were right about that too, because quite honestly, when you go to get your author copy, have you ever done that well, yeah, you did. So when you get your author copy, it has one of 999. So I'm wondering if you could literally that's expensive, but if you've got 999 times that you could print that book as an author and get author cost, right? Are you with me?
Yeah, you can always do it.
Because what I'm saying is, does the 999, if say I had 999 that I took, would it just still be 999 every time? Would there be another 999? They're getting paid. They're just not getting they're not getting their 40%. That was my concern.
No, you can order as many as you want, whenever you want.
And you've never had that number go down?
I don't believe
so. It's almost, so for me, it's almost like your thing with Lightning Source.
Right.
Order as many as you want.
Right. So instead, if a customer orders for me, I just go in there and I send it to him, and I'm just paying exactly what it would cost me. If it's a small book, it's going to cost me $2.15 for them to make the book.
Right.
Plus the shipping, and there it goes. And then I make the difference between that and what he paid me retail. So
because I hate my paperback prices being, $10.99 and $11.99 sometimes, just so I get $2, because Amazon's taking 40 off the top, which they should. They have all the equipment and everything, right?
Well, they're promoting it, if but
well, I have seen it brought up going, you might also like, and then there's my stuff. So they do. So in a way, it's advertising cost too, in a roundabout way. But because that's the royalties, I'll price my ebooks low because I want them to move. And if you like it, then go buy the paperback, Probably seeing my bad habit now since I can't see myself, and I try to, but no, I was real curious about that because, that would be the way where I could still do my paperbacks on my site. But I would think that the Amazon Gestapo would come in and go, you're selling our books on your site.
Well, I'm selling, my two websites. That's what it is. It's made through Amazon. So customer pays me $19.99, and I go and pay the $3, $4, whatever in Amazon, and have it sent by Amazon directly to the customer.
And to me, that sounds perfectly legit and good. Yeah. But the way I'm looking at, is that because Amazon's still getting their percentage out of in that print cost, or what?
Yeah, they're making money on that print cost. You can believe it.
Okay, because the way I was understanding it is, here's what your price range needs to be if you want to get your royalty.
No, they're making money because Lightning Source, if I take the same book with Lightning Source and Amazon, Lightning Source is actually cheaper to buy.
And that's what you were trying.
Same number of pages, same size. And Lightning Source though is charging that setup cost up front.
Yeah, but the setup, so the setup cost is the deal breaker, or?
Well, yeah,
that's like a one-time cost, isn't it, for the setup cost?
Yes, that's right. So
So
if you know a book's going to sell well, then Lightning Source, for me, Lightning Source is the way to go, because I'm going to get that money back by selling lots and lots of copies.
okay, so
And saving.
I'm starting to get this better now, because you know, the way I understood it, or the way I misunderstood it from you, was that I'm going to pay that setup cost every time. But with Amazon, I am
Oh.
practically paying that setup cost every time, ain't I?
They've got it kind of built into that. Yeah, they're getting a little bit more money there. You know, because like, so I got 1,138 books, and it cost about $125 a book title for Lightning Source. So if I had Lightning Source do the books that are on Amazon, it cost me about $142,000. So I would never get 1,000 books done on Lightning Source. So free. So that's what I have to tell myself when I run into trouble with their customer support, that Amazon is paying me $140,000 to put up with their customer support. Okay, I can try to deal with it.
But I'm understanding now why I could still keep my books live on Amazon, on Kindle, okay? Get whatever traffic I'm going to get there, whatever. But on my own site, and this will help me when I have that other Zoom meeting this next week, if I better understand this. So then, you know, whoever's doing my site for me, be it me or whatever, they could also sell my books for me on my site, it'll be my site that they're doing for me. And, you know, the gentleman I'm talking to it about, to protect the innocent or not so innocent, basically will run that site and sell the books. And he didn't want any charge for that, because that's his passion, is doing websites. But he says, now, if we make it big, then we'll talk percentages. And I have no problem with that, because if we're making it big and you did the work for the site, yeah, there's your pay now, because it's hitting it. He goes, conversely, if it doesn't do so well, you've got a site, and maybe at some point it will, you know? And so that's kind of like my upfront cost won't be upfront. It'll be contingent upon success.
Right, in the back end.
But it also allows me to work on my books, so that I have product to put on that site that he created. See what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Because it's a win for him, because the more books I crank out, the chances that his percentages will more than pay him for his time. And I can just continue to crank out content. I like that, because I've dabbled with getting my sites off the ground, but it's just not as fun for me. And with all the other activities in the physical world that I have, it's almost impossible just to find time to write the books themselves.
Well, I can relate.
I know you can. And you've done, you know, especially, I mean, you've done so many that basically when you're taking one of those off copyright books and revamping it, you've essentially wrote a book. So you're doing every bit as much work getting some of those compiled into readability for today's world, you know? And it's a one of a kind then, because you did it.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense to me. So I'm glad that we're having this little segment where we're really beating the record now, but I'm really grasping what you said to me in one of the blog posts one time as a reply. You know, you could just be selling these on your own thing. And you and I both discussed that, because Amazon, at least at this time, does not do hardbacks. Because, you know, for instance, when you have your ebook and your paperback on there, that's great, and they have rights and all this to it, to doing that or whatever. Okay. But at the same time, you can put your paperback or your hardback on wherever you want to put it, because we don't do that.
Right.
So I understand that now. That also makes perfect sense to me now, when you've seen several, let's use Chronicles of Narnia, for instance. There's been several different publishers that have put that out. Okay. And that's the reason you'll have different covers, or it's all condensed into one giant book or whatever. It's
Mhm.
the same story. It's in different formats, different cover art. I've I collected those for a while, so I've got several. I've got some from the 70s. I've got some from the 90s. When the movies came out and everything, and they use
Mhm.
some of the movie art for that, and what have you. Same story. So I'm this is a big learning curve for me now, on how that works. So I think that's my aha moment.
Mhm.
I'm a little slow. I got a lot of things on my mind, but that's my aha moment. And like I said, I have no problems talking to people and being on video and stuff. You're either going to love me or you hate me, but this is what you get. I mean, don't you agree? I mean,
Mhm.
so yeah, this has been, well, this has just been a good thing, a good experience all the way around here. And I think, see, I'm going to attempt something to try to get your picture back, but if we get cut off, then that's all, folks. And I'll either text you or we'll set up another time when I can just call you and I'll let you get back to work. But this is beneficial for you too, because maybe you can get some any video that you can add to your channel is beneficial no matter what.
That's right.
Because if
You never
people
know.
watch it, you get watch time. And if you get watch time, then you also eventually can monetize based on that.
Mhm.
So it's a win-win. You have to have, my thing has always been this on videos. My thoughts are, everybody's saying always focus on quality. I focus on quantity, because you're going to always have people check out the not so stellar videos anyway, and that's still watch time.
Mhm.
So to me, the more the merrier. You might have a blockbuster video one day and one that's like, but somebody watched it and commented. So guess what? You still got yours.
Mhm.
Um, how many best-selling authors do you know that or know of that had some blockbusters and they had some duds, but even the duds made money
Right.
just because so and so wrote it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
understanding this now, and in a way, to me, this right here is funner than affiliate marketing because I'm in the creation process.
Mhm. Right.
I'm creating material. Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, and that's where if I ever really got back into affiliate marketing, then the best way for me to do it would be to create my own courses, my own everything.
Exactly. And
Not
promote
promote
your own
somebody else.
products.
Yep, do my own stuff. Then I could put my heart into promoting it because it's me. I live and breathe it.
And and you know it inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't recall. I think you might have said at one point that there were going to be where you were going to start an affiliate program. So if people joined you and promoted your stuff, they get a commission.
Mm-hmm.
I think the light's dawning on me now. I mean, that's you're simply the manufacturer, but you also have the site and the program.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get it going good, it's going to ride on its own.
At some point, yes.
Well, yeah, and so some people say, well, I don't want too many irons in the fire. I love having irons in the fire because I never know what iron's going to be hot at any given point.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
And then you shift focus to that hot iron.
Mm-hmm.